I don't want to set the world on fire.
Please welcome Tom Summery.
In your heart.
I'm here, and no white
my
privileges
heart,
have
I
been
have
seeing you
but
tonight, okay, guys?
one desire, and that one is you. No other will do. I've lost all ambition for worldly acclaim.
Any government is to monopolize as much violence as possible in order for it to inflict it on as many citizens as possible.
I've been on this like weird anarchist arc for a few months now. This is playing by their rules, exactly how they are.
Me. I don't want to set the world on fire. I just want to start a flame.
You're watching the Dog and Chicken Show. Like, share, subscribe.
That's right. It's time for the Dog and Chicken Show.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Dog and Chicken Show. We are dogless tonight, but don't let that sway you. He may make an appearance at some point tonight, but no fear, I'm back, and of course we have Phil. This is the longest tonight I've had Phil, and the quietest he's been for like this amount of time. I'm going to soak this in. I've had over 10 seconds of Phil not talking for the first time tonight. This is fantastic.
Oh, God, there it goes. Tonight? No. I'm sorry, Chicken. I just could not resist because, folks, it is I, the man of the hour, the man with the power, the man that makes the other podcast cower, the prince and potentate of the political parlance, the lord of the Scottish Highlands, the conqueror of the ethereal, and one damn handsome man, if I do say so myself, your king of extreme, Phil KOE, right here at Big Buckin' Empire on YouTube and Facebook, episode 177, Wet Market, folks. It's all circling back. Folks, you can, of course, find me, Phil KOE, at KOE Nation on YouTube, TikTok, and Twitch. That is KOE Nation, YouTube, TikTok, and Twitch. And I am looking forward to getting into all of the issues and all of the topics of today with all of you beautiful people. But this evening, we are joined by a very special guest making his first time ever appearance on the Big Buckin' Empire, coming all the way from the land of Twitch, the one, the only, Lethe Water Kai. How are we doing, sir?
We are doing great. I am glad to be here in the presence of such greatness. It's an awesome place to be. And you can find me on Twitch, on Twitter, pretty much any other platform, Lethe Water Kai on all platforms. Just had to get my plug in for once.
Nice. Welcome, sir. Appreciate it. Good to meet you. I never officially got to introduce myself because, as I alluded to earlier, Phil wouldn't shut the fuck up.
I resemble that remark, sir.
I am Chicken, and I'm drinking some Maker's Mark to start with, but man, he's drinking some scotch down there, some peated scotch. I might have to make a switch because that does sound kind of good, but we'll get into that later when I do make the switch. And of course, for you subscribers on Facebook, I got my LTD, I got my shot glass, I got a whole wall of anything else if you want it to go down. Phil, what do you got for gin and what you drinking, sir?
God damn it, Chicken. Yeah,
just gotta remind the folks.
Oh God, what do I got down here? Well, I guess I got what's left of this Beefeater, and I got some Indago Snoop Dogg gin and some Brickway gin I'd have to go grab. I'll have to grab my gin glass, but also I'm going to let the audience decide here. I've got 4 open bottles here on my bar. I'm going to let the audience decide what my dram is going to be. The first one who makes a comment, you get to decide. Is it Blanton's, William LaRue Weller, Golden Sheaf, or George T. Stagg? I'm going to let you decide, audience. And yes, I got Beefeater.
Don't drop
tonight.
that. Do not drop that.
Precious bottle of gin. I mean, like I was about to say, like if anything.
That's your favorite bottle on that counter right now. I know it is.
The insults begin early.
Yeah. So that's what I'm going to be And Amanda.
And it looks like you're going with Blanton's.
Hey, I was drinking Blanton's last night for the Lethe Water Kai panel, which got really explosive and got really spicy quick, but I loved every second of it.
It requires alcohol.
What's that?
It requires alcohol.
Oh, yeah. There was some points in that topic that you might actually lose faith in humanity without a little bit of alcohol involved. But all right.
And
so
Trey's already coming in with your first drink there, buddy.
all right, let me grab my gin glass here in a second. But
And while Phil's doing that, all right. So how do you pronounce Lethe
water? It's like
Lethe Water Kai. Okay. So yeah, what are you drinking tonight, sir? And we'll clue you in. Phil and I and any subscriber of the show, they get to tell us to drink once an hour on the hour, or I guess throughout the hour. But
A nice bottle of Sheldig.
nice.
It's not half bad. And then after that, the next will be some Craig Isle.
That blur. Oh, there it is. I see it now. Ooh, 12-year. Nice.
I don't mind it. And yeah, that's what I'll be drinking tonight.
Awesome. So yeah, Phil loves gin so much. The audience loves to make him take shots of gin over and over and until he's almost incoherent. But
I mean, I like gin when I'm dehydrated, but
yeah, here we go. There's another one. Hello, folks. Phil Gin coming in hot and heavy early tonight. Phil, you might as well pour a double right off the bat. He's going to be super excited about that.
gin it is.
Yeah, Phil, looks like you got a double right off the bat there.
wait,
bud.
what? A double off the bat, son of a biscuit. All right.
While
God.
Phil's pouring, we're going to go into a bunch of outrage tonight on some of the dumb stories. Hershey's in Canada, I guess, is making a big old stink. We're going to get into that one, see if that's worth their time. Eventually, we'll get into Scott Adams and a whole bunch more in between. Makes fun of some AI, all kinds of goodies. Phil?
All right, well, I poured a double
I got
here,
it,
folks,
sir.
just for you. My classic toast, folks. The classic Gaelic Irish toast. The fighting, stealing, and drinking. If you're going to fight, may it be for a friend. If you're going to steal, may it be a lover's heart. And if you're going to drink, by God, I hope it's with me.
Sláinte.
Keep it down. Keep it down.
Ooh, that's rough. I
Why?
do not envy you.
Oh, God, another one.
That is savage.
What? No, that wasn't. No, that was part of the previous one. Fuck you.
No,
Tyler.
that was from Trey. That wasn't from Tyler. That was from Trey.
You fucking bastards. Oh, God damn it.
It's going to be a painful evening. But
It's-
hearing the word Scott Adams let me know that the pain is coming.
Oh,
Yeah.
God. And that's not even going to be the most painful part of the night for me. It's going to be Beefeater Gin. This fucker's going to be gone by the end of the night. I wouldn't. Well, thank you, Amanda. Thank you. Jesus, you philosopher queen, you. All
I
right.
don't believe her.
Now, here is another great Gaelic Irish toast to my wife, my lover, and my best friend. And may those three women never meet. Ha!
Yeah. Is it better on the second round? That
It
quick?
goes down slightly easier. The second round, unfortunately. That first drink of the night is rough. Ugh.
Yeah. All right.
Now, before
well-
we move on, Chicken,
Oh,
there's just
God.
one thing I want to say. I don't have to worry about taking another gin shot for the rest of this hour because the rest of you listeners, come on! I'll take on the lot of yous. You ain't got the guts. Come on! Put them up! Put them up! Yeah, all right.
Yeah. We almost had stars ready to go for tonight. Probably a good thing we didn't because Phil would be challenging.
Oh, I would be talking mad shit to everybody here to get double star points because, yeah, none of y'all got the gumption. None of y'all got the temerity. I ain't got to worry about it. So, I'm sure Chicken's going to be chugging a lot of beers and taking a lot of LTD shots tonight. I'm sure.
Oh, I'm sure.
It's not
I'm a
gonna be
crowd
just all
favorite
me.
tonight. This is great.
Yeah. Yeah, Lethe,
All right.
we have a way of letting the audience have a hostile takeover of the show. It's great. I love it.
Yeah, I can see the inmates run the asylum around here.
And
It's
we
fun.
love it.
They resemble that remark. Yes.
We thought that The Lord of the Flies was a documentary or an instruction manual.
Poor Piggy.
So, now
All right,
that's all out
Yank.
of
Let's
the way.
get our first story up. This one's just kind of a nice soft opener. Who is Faye Johnstone? Hershey's boycott scandal explained. Transgender activist has been catapulted to the center of Hershey's boycott scandal sparked by the brand's International Women's Day campaign. The Hershey's Chocolate Her for She campaign was launched for the third year running in honor of the upcoming International Women's Day on March 8th. The campaign has ruffled feathers amongst conservative Twitter communities who believe that the inclusion of a transgender woman in a woman's campaign is misogynistic. I don't know if we have to read more. I think that pretty much sums up
Well, I was about
what's
to say
going
that
on here.
that kind of like sums it up a little bit. Now, it like there is kind of I don't know if you've seen the TikTok about it, but like Chicken, there's a better way to hate. It's called trans inclusive radical misogyny. Okay, because like there's some people hate trans women
You
because
son of
they're
a bitch.
trans, but
Where do I
no,
sign up?
no. These people hate trans women because they're women. Trans inclusive radical misogyny. Yeah. It's like, yeah, I know. Like,
Is there an Al Bundy for that?
like when I heard that, it's like, that is the most 2023 sentence I've ever heard. Well done, whoever came up with that. You won the internet for today. So like, yeah, we're getting to that point where it's like, hey, there's a better way to hate. So I think this is one of those, like, companies are now starting to kind of anger work us a little bit. Like, have you noticed, like, they know they're going to piss off a certain portion of the population and it's going to cause that portion to talk about it a lot. And all that is free advertising. The best example of that is the show Velma. I think it is purely nothing but an anger work show. They're purposely trying to piss you off, and it's working like a charm. Like, it's a hilarious joke. Like, they're like, okay, like I could see the writers meeting. We're like, okay, let's just change everybody's race, all the races, all of them, every single one of them. Every race has changed. Everyone's gay. Scooby's not even in the fucking show. And like at that point, like the writers are Scooby's not in the fucking show.
Still fucking watching.
Yeah,
We're talking
and
about
we
it.
all cashed $1 million check. And I think that like at this point, the multi-million-dollar corporations know what anger working does, because like, okay, we get the inclusion points, but we also get the free press of all the anger work. Because I mean, we're talking about it. I have no idea who this Faye Johnston is at all, or Johannesburg, or whatever their name is.
All of a sudden became one of the most famous transgenders out there. So
just all on the back of a fucking Hershey's chocolate commercial. Now, Lethe, Chicken, I gotta ask, is this going to affect your next 6 months plan of purchasing Hershey's chocolate in any way? Is this going to affect it up, down, left, or right in any way?
I have not purchased a Hershey's chocolate bar in over 10 years, so I'm going to say it's not going to affect anything that I do in my daily life in any way.
Okay.
I didn't even know this was a thing until right now.
I'm just gonna say Canadians and conservatives that are upset about this, like if you're just now jumping on the boycott Hershey train, like I found out I was diabetic years ago. Hey, you're late to the party, fuckers. Where the hell you been? I've been against big sugar all these years, and you assholes just now get mad because some transgender, on a commercial for Women's Day. Like, yeah, I don't know. I just thought this whole thing was retarded.
So Chicken was like already on board with never. So I guess I didn't really think that one through all that well when I asked the question, because like, see, Chicken, me, when I eat like too much sugar, my ass just gets fat. Like it's a little different thing. Like but like me, every June I purchase 3 Hershey's chocolate bars to make s'mores when we go to the family camping site and make s'mores. Those are the number of, and guess what? I'm probably still going to purchase 3 Hershey's bars. I don't think this is gonna so to me, I don't know if you could say, oh, they've sold so much chocolate off of this. Like, I think it's just they're looking for the free publicity that is the big bucket empire. Like, there is no greater free publicity than us talking about your product.
Yeah, yeah. Like, I know hundreds of people are going out and buying Hershey's right now just because we're talking about it. So yeah, joke's on us.
So yeah, like, this is just another one of those. This is they're trying to capture the green M&M, but I don't think anybody is gonna top. Diabetes. Oh damn. Okay. So
yeah, but you could buy like a
Dove
chocolate bar. You could buy Cadbury chocolate. There are so many other chocolate bars that taste better than a Hershey bar. That's why I stopped buying Hershey bars.
Apparently not. There's motherfuckers in the chat going, cut my foot off. Give me a Hershey's. Like,
Chicken had to put his foot down when it came to, or drop it off. I don't know. Like, it's like, God damn, it's fucking harsh, man. Like, Jesus. Now, like I said, I just get a fat gut from all that. I don't like. I can empathize, but man, no Hershey's.
I think it was like I don't know if it was slow last 2 weeks of like trying to own the libs, but this, to me, like the outrage. I saw this on Twitter this morning when I got up. I was like, "Are you fucking serious? Like, this is what people are mad about today." Like, there's so much other shit you could be mad about, but no, we're gonna pick this one. Some random commercial that only showed up in a small area in Canada. None of us ever seen the damn thing, and yeah, I just, and then all of a sudden, fuck chocolate, give me a beer. Yeah,
I agree with Brendan.
I'm in. Brendan's the man. He knows what's up. But no, it's just, to me, it was just felt like there's like no owning the libs today. Like, this is the best they could do. It's like, fuck, man. Everybody tired, I guess. I don't know.
I was about to say, I think Scott Adams just kind of sucked all the energy out of everything else.
I was just about to say that.
He was the energy monster this week, that's for sure.
Thank you, Brandon Corblick. Loretta Scott Crew invented this more. Brandon Corblick's kind of like our Snapple facts. He just will drop a random Snapple fact in the chat. We can't stop him. There's no one can stop him. He will continue. He's like, we love you, Brandon.
We love you, Brandon.
So, as the non-conservative person in the room, what do conservatives have so deep in their hearts about candy and why things can't happen surrounding candy?
Were you around the M&M's thing?
Yeah, I saw the M&M's thing.
Have you seen how sexy that green M&M is? Oh.
Wait a minute. Were you fantasizing about green M&Ms while you were? No,
wasn't. Oh, wait, what? Like, yeah, that one. Like, when Tucker Carlson was like, graham crackers and marshmallow cancel out the transphobia for
That's
me.
good. That's good.
Excellent.
So it's like, that's a very interesting social alchemy.
Has been a douche.
Oh God. So yeah, Hershey's chocolate and Scott Adams. This is an interesting evening. But yeah, like
we're just getting started.
I was about to say. So before we move along, is there anything else that we need like the essential Hershey's chocolate-based content that the Big Bucket Empire doesn't just need, demands? Is there anything else we need to get?
Phil, are you asking if there's more to talk about? Dad jokes, love it.
I think no. We just end it right there. No. That's it. That, like, nothing's topping that. No. That's perfect. God damn it, chicken. God damn it.
You're welcome.
That is good.
Catch up on comments. I do see a couple in here. What else is going on? Chef. Yeah. They found her recipe in Girl Scouts book in 1927. Oh, nice.
Oh, thank you. More Snapple facts from Brandon Corbin.
Well, everyone did a cell phone when they were applauding the Murdaugh verdict. Okay, first off, the whole Murdaugh. What's his first name?
Murdaugh somebody?
Yeah, I was like
murdering his family.
Sounded, yeah. Like, this whole thing was kind of a joke from the start. It was like, oh, he's a Murdaugh. Like, this is kind of a closed case. But what's happening with that one, Trey? Like,
oh, he's guilty on all counts.
Yeah, I saw that today.
I mean, it might have something to do. Like, it's like literally if like the the Dutton family from Yellowstone was like real life, like, yeah, we just got a place where we dump all the bodies of people who fuck with us minorly just a little bit. And then it just became a real life family, but throw a South Carolina accent all over it.
And then so shoot your wife in the side of the head. And
no, she just fell down the stairs into some bullets. Like, yeah, like that's like, yeah, I'm now granted, that guy's an amazing attorney. Like the bullshit he was weaving on the stand when he was asking the prosecutors questions, and it was getting pretty interesting to see. But apparently they put it together. There was no fat on that joke. Needed every word to make it work. Chicken, great dad joke. Yep. So yeah, with the Murdaugh trial. But wait, there's more. But yeah, that particular trial, I've been watching just a little bit on and off. Like I'll catch a few minutes of it when I'm at the office, and then I'll move on with my day. But yeah, whenever I saw Murdaugh on the stand and he was talking about stuff, he's like, well, then the police told me that they were killed, and I was so sad about that. And then it goes to like the body cam footage, like, they're dead, right? They're really, really dead? Oh, thank God they're dead. I mean, tears. Oh, look at the tears. They're not coming yet, but they'll be there. And so, yeah, like to me, I was like, it's kind of like after you watch that tape from the OJ trial, that OJ's attorneys got suppressed when OJ just walked in. I'm just going to talk this out with the LAPD and sort this whole thing out. When you watch that video, you're like, oh yeah, the juice did that shit. Holy fuck. Okay. And so, yeah, after listening to him talk for a few minutes, I was like, yeah, he might have done that shit.
Yeah, man.
Allegedly. Winky face.
He came off pretty damn guilty.
The lawyer tried to run for a mistrial, and the mistrial got shot down swiftly by the judge. So it was because
there was they suspect the one juror that got kicked out today, like the last day of trial, was talking a little too much about the case to too many people, so they dismissed her. But that's where they tried to throw in the mistrial. Is there's a lot of people suspecting that one juror might have been the one that was leaning towards not guilty and asking questions. So that's one theory of what's going on. See Trey popped up here. The state lied to the grand jury, violated his rights, and colored the jury by making a murder trial about financial crimes, which he ended up admitting to the financial crimes in this trial, which was, to me, some of that was bizarre.
Well, yeah. Now, granted, the prosecution understood how weak their case was, but in terms of persuasion, it was sublime because
they just showed him to be a liar, and a liar.
Well, no. Even better, you got him to say on the witness stand, doesn't matter what preceded before or what came after, he put in words, I am guilty. If you can get a defense witness to say that on the witness stand, it doesn't matter what you get him to say before or after. It's like the prosecutor's just like, hallelujah. Like they were just singing the hymns the minute they heard that, because they knew, fuck, I could fuck everything up for the rest of this case. And I still win.
Trey.
True.
That's right. It was my cousin Vinny that lasted 6 weeks in the good old boy system one. What was the other one? Oh yeah, here. The lawyer was Foghorn Leghorn, according to Phil.
Yeah. I'll say now. Let me tell you something. Well, it was. I'm sorry, but Murdaugh was pretty much Foghorn Leghorn. Now that's a bunch of poppycock, son. A bunch of no goodness. Like yeah. So that was basically that. Now, I mean, come on now. I mean, what? Now there was a couple instances where the state had no evidence other than motive. But like now, I mean, come on now. Just because I vastly benefited from these half dozen or so people just dying all sudden, like, I mean, that's just a good old fashioned South Carolina coincidence. Now, that's all.
Now,
oh my
beautiful.
Goodness. That
we are going to miss the Murdaugh trial because
what
we're losing Foghorn Leghorn here. It's all a big distract
from what? I'm shocked.
He was guilty. Yeah, it is. was same. Let's see, and we do have another one joining.
Oh, fuck, Jacanadar! How we doing, sir? And on camera this time.
Well, yeah, I don't know if the mic's coming through all that well because I don't light up here.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I had to plug in another mic because what was happening is StreamYards didn't want to recognize the mic and the webcam as two separate devices, even though every other program on the planet does.
All right. Now, curious, what is your thoughts on the Murdaugh trial? What was your
Remind
thoughts?
me which one that is. Somebody reminded me that
that murdered his wife and kids and was so charismatic and spoke so well.
The South Carolina lawyer Foghorn Leghorn who murdered. Allegedly murdered his family.
The bit of the evidence I saw through the trial, I believe he's guilty. I didn't follow close enough to get any more analysis than that. It's just like, based on what I saw, I would have voted guilty, but I didn't watch the whole trial.
I think it was a coworker or a friend that was stating that the dude had great acting skills when it came down to lying, and I was like, okay, we're kind of open shut here, and his last name is Murder, so moving forward.
I'm sorry, he's a lawyer. If you're not good at lying, you have no business being an attorney. I'm sorry.
Well, I disagree. See, here's the thing: there are plenty of good lawyers who don't lie. You know what they aren't? They're not litigators. There's a difference between those two things. You can be a lawyer and not be a litigator.
I was about to say just about every, I don't know how many prosecuting attorneys anybody can say, oh, that's a good, honest, upstanding so-and-so. That's where a lot of people get their first encounter with a lawyer is, oh, the prosecutor thinks X, Y, and Z. But actually, A, B, and C happened. How did we get here?
But even in our over-policed country, that still accounts for less than 1% of all lawyer interactions. So a majority of the time you're dealing with your property lawyer or probate lawyer or freaking personal injury lawyer or
I was about to say all of them, every one of them perfect angels, I'm sure.
I'm just saying it's the litigator side that tends to make them more effective liars because they have to for court. The people I'm talking about are generally the people who do out of court settlements, mediated conflict, that kind of stuff. And they generally don't lie because if they get caught, they're screwed.
The wannabes that ain't got the cojones to get up.
I'd say they go in front of judges. They don't go in front of juries. And the reason behind this, even if
you only go in front of a judge, you still have to be a very good persuader and at times a good bullshitter. I'm sorry,
not always lying. And this is what I was getting at. They don't necessarily lie because in that mediated conflict, what they say can actually
don't technically lie.
It's more like lying by omission when you're bullshitting, but
to a point, yeah. And what I'm getting at is if they get caught actively saying something that is untrue, that can cost them their license in mediated conflict. Whereas in a trial, that's just
every lawyer knows how to be slippery with their language. I mean, I'm sorry if you're not going to pass the bar if you don't know how to be. And the stenographer will see that I did not perjure myself. But no, I'm sorry. Just I get what you're saying, Jacanadar. It's just that 95% of lawyers that ruins it for that good 5% out there. I know it's kind of like.
No, I'd say
it's that 95% that ruins it for the good 5%.
No, I'd say it's the 5% that are the bad ones, because 95% of lawyers are the people that they interact with every day. Like I said, people, hey, I got hurt. I need to sue this company because they aren't willing to pay. Yes, there are such a thing as ambulance chasers in this, but 95% of people are satisfied with their lawyers, and over 65% are considered honest by judge standards, not jury standards. And judge standards are far higher because judges remember when you got slippery in front of them the time before. I have a few lawyer friends. If you play too many games in front of the wrong judge, they fucking remember.
Oh yeah. Now that's why actually as a matter of point, when it's time to vote, I always just vote no. Okay, somebody's mic is fucking.
Yeah, that was wild. Sorry about that, folks.
Was.
I don't know what that was. That's crazy. We can we'll jump on to
I don't know what that was, but is there any way we can make sure it never happens again?
I sure hope so.
Yeah. Let's see. We can pop up the next story as one of the darling mayors of our country, Lori Lightfoot.
Oh no!
Major fall from grace.
Jack, you
Not
got
sure.
something really wrong with your
Yeah.
mic.
I don't know if it's
Yep.
me or what.
Yeah, I just
No,
muted
it's-
you, Jack.
yeah.
There's something really wrong with your mic.
Yeah. Process of elimination went down to Jack. Yeah. So anyway, Lori Lightfoot becomes first Chicago mayor in 40 years to lose re-election.
No, no, not Lori. Anybody but Lori Lightfoot. Oh,
She's gotten pretty usually when I see, one of the darlings get voted out or lose an election, usually there's a lot of folks like fighting and tooth and nail. I don't see a ton of people really fighting for Lori on this one. I really think she was just that unpopular. Man, maybe I'm wrong here, but like I've never really cared for her policy, but I thought she made an ass out of herself through much of COVID. But the last couple years, some of the corny commercials and whatnot, like I get it. Everybody does those and has those stupid moments, but like, through COVID, the haircut thing. And, I think I actually gave her credit because she came out and that flat out, she didn't try to, hide it or not address it. Like she goes, yeah, like I'm a public official. I need to get my hair done. I was like, yeah, glad you admitted it. But God damn it. It's still not a good look, lady.
It's for thee, not for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, she literally got up on the podium and said, you will be arrested. We will treat you like a criminal. You will be ticketed. We will shut your business down. And this is about saving lives and stopping the spread. And we now found out, maybe
It's
not.
absolutely none of that. Right here and now was racism.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, every single piece of it. Now, I think what also really took her down was when she put police guards on her homes.
Yep.
She let those riots just go tear through all the other neighborhoods, and she sure shit wasn't protecting anyone else's home, but she made sure her home was safe. And that was, I think, one of the last rules for thee, not for me. Like the straw that broke the camel's back. And she was always so dismissive of any kind of criticism whatsoever that, like, yeah, I'm just glad to see that the people of Chicago, that there is a limit, that like somebody just having a D by their name isn't enough to allow them to keep power, and that there can be a shift when somebody does as shitty of a job as she did.
Well, no, and honestly, in my opinion, it is a lot of factors. The one during the riots being a key one, I'll agree, but overall, I'd say it is the complete failure to actually fit within her promises. She was promising mass transit. She was promising all kinds of shit that she could not deliver on, and it cost her.
Mm-hmm.
I'm all for the leftist principles of, hey, let's kill car culture, and let's get multi-use zoning, and let's make walkable cities, but you actually have to be delivered to be able to deliver on it if it's a campaign promise.
On top
Yeah,
of
there was-
the large amounts of crime in Chicago to make you not want to use public transit in the first place.
That's where I was going to go with it is all of her opponents, even like, now this wasn't like an election, like this was just this was primary basically. And so all of her opponents were either more progressive than her, but the one thing most of them had in common is they were talking about how bad crime is and what they're going to do to fix it. While she's been gaslighting that city that, yeah, murders are down, and that's all she would say is murders are down, but overall crime is up, overall shootings are up, overall theft is up, like every other metric is up. But she's like, well, murders are down under my watch.
Well, okay,
technically, sure, but nothing else is.
But it's slightly misinterpreting the data. Yeah, it's up from most recent years. However, from what it was 15 years ago, it's still orders of magnitude lower than what it was. So
but
the problem
Lori
is
can't take any credit for that.
I agree. I agree.
Now, I do got to say though, it was under Lori's administration and under her time. I don't know if anybody spent some time in Chicago, but the Water Tower used to be a place where it was a beautiful shopping center where people would go and spend thousands of dollars. And now the people that are leasing the building just like, here's the keys, don't even fucking want it. We don't want to do business anymore. There's so much crime, so much theft, so much looting. Like, actually, when we went there years ago, somebody tried to mug my brother in the bathroom and luckily I was there. But as they tried to mug him, and so that's how
Phil,
bad
were
it
you
was.
wearing your Superman costume when this happened?
Oh, obviously. Well, no, actually, I was wearing this suit coat. Weirdly enough, but like, yeah. So like, it's
He
strange
ripped his
enough.
shirt off. There's
This
a big
exact suit coat was what I was wearing that day. But yeah, so under her administration, the water tower is closed for business, and so I'm sorry when the big main shopping attraction closes in your town. That's a problem for the elected representatives, whether they like it or not, because she's not keeping the place safe.
Well, that's what I
You're
was going
done
to say.
goofed.
She can't claim any benefit from what it was 15 years ago. She didn't cause that. Now, she tried riding on its coattails like 3 previous mayors did before her, and the problem is they actually had some hand in that infrastructure changing before they were elected because they worked at other layers of government before then during that time period. She came in after everything was settled down. So she is the proverbial carpetbagger and tried to still carry, hey, it's not as bad as it was in 1995. Yeah, well,
Oh,
in
couldn't say that
1995
better.
in 1995 you were in college. I mean, I'm joking and being hyperbolic there, but you get my point nonetheless. That wasn't your work. And people that lived there their whole life know it wasn't your work.
Back in 95, we were all in grade school. We were babies, but like, yeah, like, but I get what you're getting at.
A lot of lefties have done this in recent years. New York is another prime example where I
was just about to bring that up.
Yeah, they are riding on the coattails of people who were lefties and did make changes that did benefit the city, but under this current administration's watch, shit ain't going that way anymore. It's going back the other direction because these people got complacent, and that's the problem. It's a problem with career politicians, regardless of what level of government they're at. They become complacent once they've been there too long.
Absolutely true, which is why I do support, like, I even think, like, maybe, like, in the Senate, maybe we could limit you to, like, 9 terms or something. Like, you can only serve, like, 40-some-odd years.
Well, no, see, my answer is very, very progressive. Most righties look at me like I'm crazy because they know it's not possible. Most lefties go, you're not going far enough. And mine is, if you want to be a career politician, you have to actually advance through federal government. So you'd have 2 terms as a representative, 2 terms as a senator, 2 terms as a president. But again,
you never get elected a president that way.
Yeah,
you ain't getting shit done beforehand.
I was about to say it's a really weird NXT system where.
Well,
like,
the reason behind it.
Big leagues.
Well, no, because then you'd have to focus on your state government to build your repertoire of policy and have to work within your actual constituency more rather than going straight to DC from college.
You want a career politician to care about their constituents. That's cute.
In a leftist society, that would be a good thing. Yes. Unfortunately, I also live in reality, so I can't expect too much.
I was about to say, it's like that when we find that, be sure to let me know, because usually what we find is, especially like for like, I don't know what it's like for folks on the left, but for folks on the right, it's like, okay, on the campaign trail, they said a bunch of great stuff. We're going to defend the Second Amendment. We're going to beat back big government. We're going to lower the taxes. We're going to like keep the homeland safe. All the good stuff that they say on the campaign trail. And then like about 2.5, 3 years of being in DC, suddenly it's like, fuck, he's been in too long. Oh no, they've been completely compromised. And now we've got like fucking Dan Crenshaw talking about like, maybe your red flag laws aren't such a bad, like, fuck, you've been in DC too long. And so like, that's what happens. I don't know if folks on the left have a similar experience of when they send folks, but that's what it's like for us on the right. So
we have a little bit more hopium in our blood than you do, so we give them a little longer.
Some of you guys are still holding out for Bernie Sanders, so
well, no. The thing is I'm not a Bernie bro. Because here's my thing: he's been in office for 47 years. I can name 2 bills that he has personally authored, and they're 20 years ago. Everything else he's been co-sponsors of. And it's like, at that point, you're piggybacking. Well, I support the things you're piggybacking onto. That's the work of other people. You're just putting your name on there because you're the more famous one. And again, it's coattail riding. The complacency hits all levels. 40 years, I think, is a bit too long. Just saying.
Yeah. The Bernie bros always kind of fascinate me, how they just can't let that one go. It's almost bad as Trumpers. It's almost bad as Jesus.
No, it's a little different.
Almost as bad as TDS as well. Like there's all kinds of forms of
the
this.
difference is Bernie actually did have his shit stolen from him. The only difference is it was done in the primary where none of you
and then
people
on the
right give a shit.
Yeah. Well, and then he
we were watching
the fucking feet.
Well,
it's how I knew Hillary was going to lose because they
don't care beyond laughing. Let's put it that way.
Well, okay, but no, I thought it was it's always been kind of an indicative sign of when your side is going to lose an open election is if you got two open sides and one of the sides has to kind of cheat and play fuzzy games to get their preferred candidate across the finish line. That candidate's not going to do that great in the general.
My issue was that she was a horrible human being in this state where I am currently living. She was a horrible human being in DC. Well, she did some good things while she was in office throughout the many years she's held office. A vast majority of shit she did, I go, ugh, why is she on my side? So the problem is she was never winning. She was never winning. I said that from the moment she freaking put up that stupid fucking picture that you like to bring up, the tweet with her young self, happy birthday to this future president. The second she put that up, I'm like, you lost. You're an idiot.
Yeah.
Well,
that was the moment.
That was because folks love a great tortoise and hare story. Doesn't matter and so Trump, and even now to this day, if he actually decides to run in 2024, there is no greater middle finger that an individual can send to the American political establishment with their ballot in 2024 than voting Donald J. Trump. That is the biggest middle finger you can send to America's
middle finger to a bunch
to
of
America
people.
itself.
Oh, well, now you also have to understand
that's what I have to do.
I'm sorry, chicken. That's how you send the big middle finger to DC. Because at this point, it's like sending a bowl to a china shop. And at this point, there's going to be more than 70 million Americans that think that maybe DC probably deserves it.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. If Biden can't crack 80 million, which I don't think he's going to, I've actually got a bet on this with Tiberius that Biden will not crack 80 million votes in 2024. If he can't crack 80 million, it doesn't matter who the fuck he runs against, whether it's DeSantis, Trump. He could run against Marjorie Taylor Greene and her fucking space lasers. And he's still going to fucking lose. It's just that's almost a fiat complete if he can't crack 80 million.
The only way he cracks 80 million is if he goes against Trump. This is the thing I hate about Trump running against Biden is we've seen it, and no matter what you want to say about it, if Biden beat him the first time, why wouldn't he beat him the second time? I don't want either of them running.
There's a little guy called Grover Cleveland that's got some interesting precedents.
Trump's
not Cleveland. Get out of here with that.
I know he's way better than Cleveland. Taller and probably got a bigger gut too.
He's just got so much baggage now. I can't believe anybody thinks that he could do better than he did last time around.
Yeah, it's a lot more.
I'm coming just realist perspective.
Chicken, he got the second highest number of votes of anybody in U.S. history.
And Biden got more.
But Chicken, I'm going to keep reminding you, if he can't crack 80 million, it was 44,000 votes in Arizona, Georgia, and Wisconsin was the difference between President Trump retaining re-election or not. If you don't think he can't make that up, especially keeping in mind in 2020, they took his best weapon away from him. They were able to sweep his ability to rally out from under him using the pandemic. And they will not have it in 2024. And if he can get people in front of him, he can motivate them to vote for him.
The best weapon he would have is if they can get rid of all the laws that they allowed to come through that allowed all the mail-in voting and all the other election laws that changed before 2020. That's the only way he wins.
We're not going to have this. Negated. We're not going to have the same mail-in voting. We've already pulled that back in states like Texas and in Georgia and actually one of the Rust Belt states.
You didn't win enough in the midterms to get it all pulled back, though.
We shall see, Chicken. We shall see. Like Pennsylvania, the Republicans can just write off.
Has Chicken met Rich yet?
Iko? I don't know if you've met him.
I don't think we've chatted.
I was sitting there and I was talking with him about this last night, and we were going over the election map. And I sat there and I showed him my map. And I'm like, he's not going to crack 80 million. He's going to win, but because of the states he's going to win. Because Rich is under this assumption. It's not entirely wrong, but in my opinion, I think he's being a little bit too doomer on this. He believes it's all going to come down to Wisconsin. He believes that will end up being the battleground state, and the reason behind that is right now, in his opinion, the most important election in the last 4 years is coming up, which is their state Supreme Court election is coming up, and the guy who is retiring is just retiring due to age, and so there's no incumbent. It is literally two primary people coming in to do this. If it's a Democrat, it will flip the balance of the Supreme Court in that state to 4-3 Dem. If it's a Republican, it will stay what it's been for the last 15 years. And the reason he's worried about this is because of how close that state legislature came to actually supporting the big lie and overturning the election, etc. And I'm just like, yeah, but here's the thing. That's making a very big assumption on your part that we lose Georgia. The only time Wisconsin is going to become the battleground state that he fears it is if we lose Georgia. Well, going by the 2022 numbers and down ticket voting patterns of Republican voters during 2022, Republican candidates that were supported by Trump got pasted. So Georgia is not pasted.
No. I'm sorry. No. You're talking about the eventual runoff, but on election night, fucking Warnock was in the margin of fucking error with Herschel Walker. That should have been a fucking blowout. It should have been 10 points, 15 points. The margin of fucking error, Herschel Walker. Ralph Warnock is the best candidate the Democrats could ever hope to put up.
Herschel Walker was the worst one.
And he was within the margin of fucking error. Georgia is a battleground of battleground nail biters. Anybody that says that they can say Georgia's 100% going this way doesn't know what they're talking about. It's going to be anybody's game, and it's going to be a coin flip in 2024. So to say, no, it's off the table, we know. Look at how this side election went.
You are fighting a shadow that isn't here, Phil. You didn't let me finish
I'm actually going up against the points you were just bringing up about. Look at the numbers and how.
Hey, Phil, remember.
Calm down.
We're not on one of the debate panels, Phil. Calm down, bud.
No, I'm just letting them know this is what's going to happen. So if you're saying it's going to go one way,
down ticket voting,
it's a coin flip.
Where Republicans would vote for the Republican for governor, they voted for Walker, and then for reps in them, 200, 300,000 of them said, I'm not voting for this Republican, and they were the ones supported by Trump. This is what I'm saying. Down ticket voting on election day, not the runoff, not the fucking Senate vote, not one particular election.
You're ascribing a reason for not voting down ticket. You can't, we don't know that we can't reach into people's minds and know why they didn't. A lot of people just leave them blank because they're not informed. There could be that's at least 100,000 people. That's at least 100,000 people that left them blank because they're not informed.
You want to bump it up and say 50% of these people to about 25%, depending on which down ticket ballot we're talking about.
And I'm probably being nice here, but I'm just saying you can't reach into people's minds and because they didn't vote down ballot, it's obviously because of Trump. You really can't make that inference. I know
there's a lot of people that don't go down ballot, and the only ones that do down ballot is ones that are in a political family that a very if dad instilled into you got to make sure you go down ticket.
Shift in Georgia history. This had not happened in a midterm.
Well, it's because nobody really talked about down ballot tickets as much as you heard over the last probably 12 years.
Yeah, but I've been paying attention to that for a long goddamn time, and this is what I'm saying. This is the first time this has happened in Georgia in 58 years.
It's also the first time we've had somebody that's won Super Bowls in Georgia.
No, Phil is right.
Nobody scored more touchdowns.
Ralph Warnock score? I'm sorry.
Yeah. Phil is right. I can't 100% ascribe their reasoning. And yes, there is going to be a fair percentage of them. I think it's high, a little bit lower than 50% that Phil gave it here, but there is going to be a fair percentage that didn't vote because of uninformed position, and therefore they'd rather not vote than vote incorrectly. However, you can't say that for a majority, and I can't say it was definitely Trump, but it was something. And the only real difference between the people that they did vote for and the people that they didn't vote for was the Trump endorsement. So, well, it is a bit of a linchpin theory here, and I could be very off base. It at least fits the
It does require a little bit of mind reading, but also, Chicanadar, I'm going to do something, and I just muted you for 5 seconds there because you muted me for 5 seconds last night. Don't ever let anybody say I'm not a petty motherfucker. But there, I got you back, you motherfucker. But yes.
On the flip side, yeah, I only mute you when I actually have to tell you to shut the fuck up to let me finish my point.
That's only every 15 seconds. That's not fair.
Other than that, I will keep yelling at you. If I can get my point out while yelling at you, that's when I'll keep going. When you are literally so loud that everybody on the panel is going, Phil, and you don't hear them because you're yelling so loud. That's only every panel,
Chicanadar, okay? That's only every time a camera is on me. I don't know, like I said, what I'm going to say next.
Bullshit. Hold on, I'm calling bullshit. The camera doesn't have to be on you, Phil. You act like that anyway.
Okay, I am guilty as charged, sir. This man's been in the same room with me. We played poker together. We went to high school together. So yeah, he knows.
I still say it's about the 90-minute mark that you start hitting that Energizer Bunny level.
Oh, so that's when I go Super Saiyan mode. Like, okay, good to know. All right, like.
Yeah, I don't think Phil actually stops talking. I think he just mutes the mic.
Yeah,
it feels like it, doesn't it? Like. Basically,
and that's really the meaning of life. Oh shit, I was muted there for a second. But no, I think like, yeah, if I had to stop talking, it might actually kill me. I don't know. It's kind of like a shark that always has to keep moving. So like,
wow.
See, it's weird. I know on these panels and in Discords, I am known as a loquacious motherfucker. But I will sit at home, and unless I talk to my wife or come on and talk to y'all, I will literally go days without saying a word to another human. Like it's just like I don't have the need to talk. When I get talking, I'm Irish. I can't help it. The gift of gab is there. But
I'm weird. Like right, I'm a farmer. When I'm out in the tractor, I'll just be out like singing. We got those bare necessities. Like whatever fucking song is in my head, I'll just sing it while I'm just alone in the tractor. Today, when I was driving a semi, I was singing all day because that's just the way I am. But all right, what do we got here, Chicken?
All right, we got some comments to catch up on. I don't think we've had any popped up. I don't know if our producer.
Besides Yank sitting here saying "fucking let it go," it's gold for the shorts, and telling us basically let us keep yelling at each other.
Yeah, like that.
Yeah, pretty much.
There we go. Guy, you look baked as fuck.
I wish.
Amanda, I can tell you this point blank. I hang out with this man on a regular basis. His eyes will look like that at 8 o'clock in the fucking morning. And he don't smoke. I'm the smoker on this panel. This for heavy smoking, and he don't smoke. It's just the way his eyes sit.
If only California figured that shit out with Slick Rick Gavin Newsom.
Oh, yeah. That guy just kind of gives me an American Psycho Patrick Bateman vibe. I'm sorry.
I don't like him as a human being. Overall, I can't really bitch too much because he's following what his voters want, and technically that's the job of a politician. Yeah, I mean, I don't agree with all of his stuff.
Going out to restaurants while he's not letting the rest of his state go out to restaurants. I'm sure the state loved that.
Hey, yeah, we can pull out a lot of Republicans that fucking did that shit too.
Well, that's a great whataboutism out of nowhere. Like, oh, like.
So I'm just saying, both sides are guilty.
And I reverse Uno, you're reverse Uno.
Well, no, my point is, this is actually something I was talking about with Osiris a little bit earlier. Some of these issues are looked at as a right or left issue when really they need to be looked at as a wealthy versus poor issue. The wealthy generally feel they don't follow the same rules as the rest of us because they don't.
Well, like, I don't know if I won't be able to find it in time, but it's like what people think the enemy is, and it shows like the wealthy, the non-wealthy. And what we've been convinced is good people, bad people. What really is there's wealthy, non-wealthy, and then there's this slim column over here that includes everybody, and it says this is your actual enemy here. It's about 10% of society that's working against you. And
yeah, but generally a good portion of those 10% are within the wealthy capitalist class, usually the unethical side of capitalists. Because see, unlike a lot of people, well, I do believe under the current vulture style capitalism we're in right now, that there is no ethical consumption of under capitalism. But
Jesus, Phil, they're counting down minutes till gin.
God damn it.
But I do believe that with the hybridization system that you and I have discussed in the past, Phil, because you even agreed that it will probably hybridize over time. With the hybridized system, that eventually there can
then the
be
stronger capitalist genes will breed out the communist genes over multiple generations of animal husbandry, because that's just the way that works. So that's how I see that go. Well, no, like at the end of the day, like Marxism, I get its appeal. Well, no, I'm just saying, I get it. But I get its appeal as a general philosophy because, but it has never been able to conquer the incentive problem. That is
I agree, and that's why Marxism is shit. We've evolved since Marx. Marx was what was a.
And why are you a commie?
Because communism didn't end with Marx, and it didn't fucking go through the actual.
It's his brainchild, basically.
Hey, excuse me, Phil.
I
got some people in my chat, and they're wondering where you're live right now.
We are live at Big Buckin Empire on YouTube and Facebook. BIGBUCKIN, Big Buckin Empire. And you can also find us at Linktree/Big Buckin to get your way here on YouTube and Facebook and join us for this live stream.
Tomfoolery in the chat.
Hey, Tom, how the fuck you been, Tom? The better Tom here's a goddamn.
He's the triple commie though, so
yeah. Tom. Tom is a triple commie and a quadruple Marxist.
Here's the thing. You and I have discussed this because I am not a true Trotskyist. I am a Cartian communist due to the fact that there has been philosophers that have, figured out where the problems were in previous forms of communism and go, well, here's where we fucked up. Let's try and not do that again. So that's why I'm incrementalist, because I understand the revolution is where we go wrong every time. Because
your subtitle might be right. The commie you can love, a commie then go, yeah, we fucked up.
Yeah, I mean, dude, the thing is that's
instead of going, we just never really tried it.
Yeah, no, the thing with the gripers and the tankies and all this shit, they do not really understand communism beyond the abstract theory, and then the rhetoric of the strongmen who quote unquote epitomize that ideology. So hence why we get Marxist Leninists. Lenin was a horrible human being. Like, why would anybody consider that the logical successor when there were actually better people that were philosophers at that time that Lenin killed when he took power? So I mean, there's a lot of revisionist history, a lot of young people who don't.
I've been reading a lot about Lenin lately.
Marx wasn't exactly a great person.
Marx was Lenin. And that's what. Fuck. Yeah, but I was about to say, Lenin made fucking Marx look like Mother Teresa, and Stalin made both of them look fucking tame.
Stalin was fucking crazy.
That's all I'm getting at.
Even Lenin knew fucking Stalin was fucking crazy, and he shouldn't have power.
Stalin was peak crazy.
Even in the early days when he was just into his early stuff, it's kind of like when a band.
We'll go with a more contemporary one now. Putin was alive under the end of the Stalin regime. He epitomizes and idolizes Stalin's tactics. He just thinks he didn't go far enough. He actually said that in the essay he wrote about reestablishing the Soviet Union. Yes, he actually when Stalin was part of the KGB, he wrote this big essay.
Challenge.
I mean, you can come in. Come on, Tom.
Let me at him.
Put him up.
Of course, Tom knows because he's such a triple communist.
Yeah, yes. And I've seen you,
triple
Tom.
communist confirmed.
You are more than welcome to come on. I will duke it out with you. But this is less blood sports, more fun and games. So bring a drink and have some laughs while you're doing it. At least.
Yeah, we don't want to have a rehash of what happened before.
Oh fuck. Oh, dude, last night was so not great. We had somebody who is a friend of the channel had permissions to just jump in the lock channel because come in and just start being bad faith, doing the fuck you bitch to one of the invited panelists. It was just like no fucking argumentation. It was not good. KOE, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It was not good at all.
Brandon running in panel? With
last night.
Yeah, we're
on Lethy Water Kai's Twitch.
Oh, okay. Like I was about to say, to me, you got to be really like the one guy that put the bad shit on camera for a few seconds. That was a little bit, but like, yeah, I get like who you're talking about, but like to me, it's like,
Well, no, see,
more
the thing
challenge,
is,
bring it on.
well, no, I know you're all for the blood sports, Phil. That's
Mm-hmm.
not what Wednesdays are about. Wednesdays are supposed to be fun and games, happy, yeah, it can be heated, but never ad homs and nastiness. That's not
Oh,
what
there was some
Wednesday-
ad hom thrown around,
Little
more
bit.
than a little bit. There were some people that were getting accused of being racist for just never reading Scott Adams. And I'm like, God damn. Okay, all right, let's do this. All right.
Well, they would have been accusing me of that shit because I don't know where it is, but I have a Dilbert book somewhere on my shelf. Here's the difference: I bought that book before we knew he was kind of a dick. I won't buy anything now, but I can still appreciate the art that I fucking loved when I was younger.
Phil, your chat hates you.
All right, we're in the next hour. We're gonna move on. We got plenty of stories to go through. So
now, all right,
we're gonna move
Tyler
the show
wants
on.
me to do a gin shot, folks. You got 30 seconds to make me pour a super double, or it'll just stick with a single. So I'm gonna let the.
I mean,
folks
it's
do
Leafy's
30 seconds.
first time on. I say just tip up the bottle.
Amanda, you got to you got to pay to play, Amanda. You got to pay to play.
Oh, I was just gonna say it's fun for
Okay.
because Leafy's first time on. That only looks like about 2.5 shots left.
Chicken has to take a
Baptism
shot
tonight.
of god awful Canadian LT, and there's a double. Now, folks, get it in, and you got 15 seconds to try and make this a triple. That might almost polish off that bottle.
While you're doing that, make sure you give him a triple since I have to drink this nasty ass shit.
Honestly, making me drink a beer would be the worst torture.
Oh, I don't know, dude. You got to try this shit. This is bad. This is really bad. Ooh. First one's always fucking worse too.
Next time
It
I'm
tastes
on,
like
we're
it tastes
setting up
like if
for
you
Jaeger
poured.
bombs.
It's like if you poured some like Old Crow down your ass crack and rebottled it, and then you had to take a shot of it. It's that fucking bad.
That's how I feel about
Oh, chicken.
Yeah, Jaeger bombs.
Take a.
That's
chicken.
pain. That's true
Give me
pain.
give me a zoom in here,
All right, here we go.
because
Oh, yeah.
That's all of
sorry.
it.
I forgot about that, Tom, because everybody else just puts a sticker over your face and says "fuck TOS." I forgot about that. My bad, dude.
okay. Oh God, what have I done?
You got
It's
rid
good
of the
for you.
Peter and can open up a better bottle of gin for the next shot of gin.
Well, since this bottle has served me well for so long, it's time for my classic Gaelic Irish toast. I know I've already said it once tonight, but it's fitting for the end of this Beefeater London dry gin bottle. To fighting, stealing, and drinking. If you're gonna fight, may it be for a friend. If you're gonna steal, may it be a lover's heart. And if you're gonna drink, by God, I hope it's with me.
Yeah.
You'd have been better tipping up the bottle. You wouldn't have had to keep it in your mouth that long.
Yeah, that was painful.
Why?
You had a mouthful. That's
you
great.
were literally drinking Beefeater. That is gin that I would use to like set fire to cheese. Like I wouldn't use it to drink.
Wipe up a stain or something. Like,
No. Like seriously, I make an English version of Saganaki where I use English gin and then use English Stilton. Have you ever had Saganaki at a Greek restaurant? It's the flaming cheese where they serve it with pita. Now they pour osu over it. You know what? Gin has the right fucking layer of herbs in it that when you burn off all the damn alcohol, it cooks into the Stilton cheese really, really nicely and goes on a good sourdough excellently. And you don't have to do anything else crazy. It's literally some alcohol, some cheese, and a fucking lighter to a plate. I mean, it's not a lot of work.
Nice.
Sounds like something I would have figured out when I was high.
Lynn, what is natural
Here's
light?
a comment I need to. Trey Paul says
Natural
that's-
Light's a really, really cheap beer.
Nice. He says that's
Natty
hero-
Ice is horrible.
Hang on, like Trey says that's heresy. Doing an Irish toast with Beefeater. Well, don't think of it as supporting
Less
England's
heresy, more
exports. Think of it
colonization.
as like flooding their fields.
Yeah, no. Think of it more like instead of some kind of heresy, it was more an act of colonialization by a Nebraskan.
I was about to say.
Oh, wow. Taking it that way.
I love throwing that one because it makes Phil grin.
All right, Yank, let's get our next story pulled up.
Recolonization, you English bastard.
Oh, in the future, I know it is Natty Light.
So this has been one of the arguments I've seen online over the last couple of days. Oh, you get one of those awesome pop-ups. Anyway, Zelensky didn't say American sons and daughters have to fight in Ukraine. So this is obviously the fact check of what everybody's been arguing about. So the video that came out, we don't have to watch that in case you're out of it. So there's a video that came out where he says the U.S. will have to send their sons and daughters exactly the same way we are sending their sons and daughters to war, and they will have to fight because it's NATO that we're talking about, and they will be dying. God forbid, that's a horrible thing. So that's the clip that actually got sent out, what it was translated to say. Now they're like, well, no, he didn't say that. He was foreshadowing.
Yes, because it was clipped out of context. I actually watched this live. I was up at the time. Part of the beginning portion of this speech was him talking about Russia going towards Poland. And that being cut out does change the context. If you add
Poland's
that back,
a NATO country, right?
Yeah. That's so with that little bit of context.
The problem is,
agree he worded it badly.
Oh yeah,
but,
terrible.
Yeah, but it changes it dramatically when you understand that beginning paragraph.
Yeah, it does, but a lot of
people wording things badly.
Yeah,
well,
it doesn't change the sting that it has on some people that aren't going to care about the context. And we know this with everything, whether it was a left or a right, whatever the goddamn person getting attacked, nobody ever gets the context. Like a few people look into it, but most people never do. And you only hear the one clip. And so the damage is already done, but it had enough sting in the people that get mad and care enough about this to never ever forget that. And this comes at a time when Ukraine like war support is dwindling in America. Like a lot of people they're like, yeah, we support Ukraine, but we don't want to give them a bunch of money anymore. Like it's starting to come back. It's not a full on. I'm not seeing as many flags hanging out of people's windows these days. There's still a bunch out there. Don't get me wrong, but
Slava Ukraine.
It's a bad time for him to have something like that get clipped out of context and thrown out there. I agree with you. It changes when you hear the first part, but the sting's still there. It's not changing.
Yeah, no. And
why are people so fed up with the Ukraine war?
Because it's the same thing with any war. It's called
longer it drags on, the less it seems like it's
That's
worth
true
it
for every war.
It doesn't matter what war. That's why I always say
so I have to ask
anti-war are always eventually proven right.
In this case, you're taking a world power, like what was considered one of the three world powers,
world hegemony,
a near peer to America, pretty much off the table. Their pants are down. They aren't looking gorgeous anymore. They're not looking like the threat they used to be. They aren't shiny and strong like they were before.
Well, when you keep in mind, like, yes, there is that going on, but also keep in mind that this, on the surface, it looks like it's Russia versus Ukraine, but that's really not what's going on here. What we have is Russia versus all of NATO. We're using Ukrainian bodies and the Ukrainian land as its battlefield. When you look at all the equipment we're sending, the Abrams tanks, all the M4s, everything that we've sent there, it's NATO equipment. It's NATO training. It's everything but NATO troops. And so when you realize that there's a reason why this is such a close to even conflict. And that's why I say by the end of June, we're going to know what the battle lines are. And that's going to be what the lines are for many, many years to come.
So like from what I've heard, Russia's losing close to 5,000 soldiers a week. Just on general principle, it's some sad stuff. So when you take that into account, along with no U.S. soldiers dying in the process of this, is just taking money.
We've had 7 veterans who went over.
Money. Well, no,
that was by their choice.
Yes,
I know. But like, it's unfortunate. We have lost 7 people already.
Yeah, but
one thing I'm going to take this back.
PMCs and PMCs are different metrics.
Yeah, sure.
We can't consider them the same.
And here's I'm going to take a couple of
Americans all the same.
We are
Rose by any other name is
a lot of money. You're sending a lot of
just $40 billion.
No, we're sending a lot of surplus
not
equipment.
A lot of money. Anyway, I want to take this back to the beginning of the invasion, because as soon as America picks a side on anything, this is just kind of propaganda 101. You can't believe anything. So like the 5,000 a day dead troops on the Russian side, like you can't believe any of that. It might be true and it might not be. So you just have to take all of it with a grain of salt and just be like, fuck, I don't know. They want me to think that 5,000 people are dying a day in Russia. Like maybe they are. I don't know.
Oh, there's been reports from
all
Wagner,
wars won by deception.
There's been reports from Wagner head of command saying that they're losing X amount of troops. And
yeah,
so
this isn't our government saying this. This is information that's coming off of OSINT. I don't know how much time you have spent on the OSINT websites.
No, not on OSINT.
Yeah, this is stuff where basically they're getting like fucking leaked fucking communiques and shit like that, and then going, oh shit. Yeah, so this is slightly different.
Like I said,
still believe that
it's
it
just
can
with
be
a grain of salt.
Yeah, that's true of every war though.
But with that, like there's a lot of ways you can look at this. You can be like, well, no American troops are dying, and we're spending some money and we're taking out an adversary. I mean, yeah, how I mean, that's one way to look at it, but then it's like we're using the people in Ukraine as pawns in this fucking weird little chess battle. All these people are dying.
There's no choice there.
No. Here's the difference.
Oh, there's always a choice. There's peace. There's peace.
No.
We made the Ukrainians give up their nukes, and now they're the battlefield of World War III.
And we told them not to fucking. We pulled them away from the negotiation table. That's come out too.
Yes, we pulled them away from the negotiation table. No, that was part of it, but it was also that revelation was also on the back of, because we were giving Zelensky information that had been fucking given to us by a third party that he needed imminently because of a fucking upcoming attack. So there's some slight differences to this. And here's the thing. Well, I agree, peace would be preferable. Putin's the one that started this. We didn't start this war. It is not us. I'm not saying we're not fighting a proxy war, but we didn't start this proxy war. All we are doing is saying, okay, Putin, you want to go? We're going to help them, and we're going to make sure they kick the shit out of you because you decided to fucking fuck around and find out. I'm still not saying that it is not support, but we didn't start the proxy war.
Right. Well,
so like
we provoked.
Has NATO ever attacked any Russian territory?
I don't think so.
Nope.
So where's the provocation?
Well, anytime you have like sanctions or there's all kinds of shit that's provocation whenever you're talking about what led to a war. Any kind of economic impacts that another country's causing on you.
Say, it does take two to tango. So to pretend like we've
there's a reason the Cold War had no fire, nothing was ever shot. Like that was a completely peaceful war. Like a war is a political means to win. Is basically. You don't have to fire a shot to win a war.
How much Russian land was taken
Sanzu
over by
always say? What was the best way to win a war is without firing a shot?
Yeah.
Sun Tzu would say that winning through battle is second best. Winning without battle is the best.
That's what I'm saying this is. But I also say Ukraine never aggressed against Russia. Russia came and took land. Basically have been trying to eradicate their way of life, their language, everything that it is to be Ukrainian. These are their brothers and sisters. It's a horrible thing. But Russia is the aggressor in this case, no matter what it is. And he's going under, I want to say, a old school doctrine of trying to reunite the USSR. And after Trump wasn't able,
he literally wrote
He's an old school KGB motherfucker. So like Jacandar was saying.
Yeah, he literally wrote a 40-page essay.
Please let me. I got one last little thing going through. So during the Trump administration, I don't want to say Trump was in bed with the Russians, but I will say he tried to weaken the aspects of NATO and tried to withhold aid to Ukraine when this was imminent. I'm not going to say he knew anything.
To investigate
I'm going to say it was
Biden's for things that we now know to be true.
Why do you need to ask a foreign adversary country for dirt on your political opponent? It was going to come out even without Russia. And it has come out, even without
It wasn't going to
Russia.
come out until Hunter left his laptop at that place. That's how it all came out.
So all it
Like,
took
that
was
was
one laptop shop to get it done. We don't need to withhold aid from a country under siege.
I don't want to jump into conspiracy theories about Trump or laptops.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah, that's
Well, I'm
I
joking
don't go
about
anywhere.
that, of course.
Yeah, I never
Yeah.
go anywhere near that because here's the thing: in the grand scheme of things, Hunter wasn't the elected official. I don't give a fuck what Hunter did.
Joe and
Yeah,
Hunter
but he
actually have
was-
a joint checking account.
Yeah, that's
Sorry. So no, what Hunter does has a direct effect on the finances of the president of the United States. So anything Joe Hunter
just when I
Hunter
thought I
does
was out, you pulled me
that
back in.
actually is very much that does affect the Oval Office, and that does cause the possibility for leverage to be utilized against Joe in the Oval Office. So yes,
Is
the
this-
Republicans
what
are
leverage?
eventually going to subpoena
What
that
leverage?
account. So don't worry.
Okay,
All that goes on in the darkness
before we
will
get too
eventually come
far
to
off
light.
of Russia and Zelensky and Ukraine, let's get away from Hunter. All right, let's all agree
still
to that.
wondering
For
if
That's why I was- that's where I was
I don't
trying to
know
go.
if
I
I'm
don't
capable
care-
of
still active.
I don't care if I that's what I was saying. I don't care about the laptop. What I do care about, as far as with Trump is concerned, Trump was openly advocating for the potential withdrawal of America from NATO, saying that it was no longer necessary. Well, Putin just proved him fucking wrong.
That's the thing about negotiation. If you're not willing to walk away from a negotiation table, you have no power at all. And Trump showed the biggest trump card of all. If you're not willing to pull your own weight, I'm willing to walk away. And like it or not, he did get greater contribution from the NATO countries into paying towards NATO. So in the end of the day, his negotiation tactic did work. And so that's just one piece of advice, kids, is if you're sitting down at a negotiation table and you're the one not willing to walk away from that table, you are the weaker party.
That doesn't mean that he was right. In fact, he was proved wrong.
Sure it
'cause
was. He
said
got more
NATO-
people to pay. Not only was he right, but in the end, he
No,
got
he
what
was he was wrong because he said NATO was no longer essential to him in Russia, and Putin proved it wrong.
Well, it's all America doing it all anyway. So I mean, Jesus
well, but
Christ.
hold on, that's not a fair statement to make because he didn't invade Ukraine until after Trump was gone. So you got to know Putin knows Biden was going to react that way. So that's not a fair statement that NATO was completely useless or that whole thought was useless because Putin proved him wrong. Putin didn't do shit other than
He didn't do shit under Trump, anyways. He,
Yeah.
so
Well, no,
he
what I'm
invaded
saying is
Georgia
he
under
did
Bush.
the
He
other-
invaded
ship?
Crimea under Obama.
there a ship
He
that got
invaded
attacked?
Ukraine under
Yeah.
Biden, but he didn't do
And
shit under Trump.
What was proven wrong was that NATO is no longer essential to him in Russia. What proved that was the fact that Ukrainians were kicking the shit out of them even before we started sending mass amounts of equipment. And now that they have actual modern equipment, they're literally kicking their teeth into the tune of 5-1.
maybe.
And
Yeah,
now
I mean,
that's the thing.
that-
You always got to
that-
keep in mind the numbers that we're getting could just be more proper.
That's the most conservative estimates is 5-1 at this current rate. Now that's
Well, in that case,
literally
good for Ukraine, but
yeah.
Oh yeah,
But that's
they're
because
great
that's
fighters.
Ukraine.
But
that's
the
because
problem
we're
is
giving them
Russia's
6th-gen military equipment that is going up against ill fucking maintained, ill-equipped fucking conscripts.
May I
Now,
address
you're
Dr.
absolutely
Chicken?
correct, Jack. But the thing is,
I
for
wish
300 years, the Russians have had a pretty solid battle plan of "Niet, comrade. There's problem. Just throw more comrade at problem. Throw more comrade at problem." And so,
they have a
unfortunately,
lot
like
of comrade.
we're being told that there's going to be about 700,000 to 800,000 Russians entering the field this next year. In reality, the number is probably closer to 1 million. Because keep in mind, we're getting the Western rah-rah Siskumba numbers. So it's kind of like in 2016, for any poll that I saw, I would take 5 points off of Hillary and I'd tack on 5 points onto Trump. And I was actually pretty fucking close to reality. And so keep in mind
Yeah,
in
not
war,
the same,
when you're getting
because-
the numbers from your side, you got to shave them back a little bit. And the numbers that you're hearing from the other side, you got to increase a little
The
bit.
800,000
And you're probably going to be
number-
closer to...
The 800,000 number is not from our side. That's actually Syrian numbers. And considering the ties of Syria and Russia, I would kind of trust that they're going to be a little bit less propagandist in our favor. So I'd say it's probably a little bit closer to the truth that 800,000 is probably accurate. And that's probably coming down to aging demographics, the fact of how many people have already died, how many people have fled Russia. They probably are literally going to have trouble filling out 1 million and still maintaining troops at home. So yeah, there might be 1 million people under arms, but they're definitely going to keep troops at home for the homeland. That's just, otherwise they're militarily ignorant. Like that, there's no fucking military that you send out all your forces. It's like getting rid of the goalie in hockey. It's not a good idea.
They're Colonel Custering that shit. Okay, we're just sending it all. See what happens. So, but no, like I think this is going to be. This has the potential to. This is only going one of two ways. Unfortunately, this spring, either the most devastating battlefield we have seen in the 21st century, or a cold, wet fart that amounts to nothing. Like it's going one of two ways. And like, I'm hoping it's the second one. I'm really hoping it's the second one where everybody's just like, you know, when you see two schoolyard kids that are going to get into a fight, they kind of like do this thing, but nobody ever actually touches each other. I'm hoping it becomes that. But unfortunately, we've got way too many explodey weapons to keep from that happening. So unfortunately,
there's a third option, which is the middle road, which is it's not nearly as devastating overall body count that we are thinking it's going to be. Because right now the estimates are between combined Ukrainian and Russian dead, it's going to be close to like 700,000 dead by the end of the war.
If it's this kind of thing.
But that's including civilians and all the other shit that has happened. Or what the middle of the road option is that Putin actually realizes he loses and retreats. Here's the problem. I don't see the third option being any more likely than the second. I think we're going to see very, very red sands in Ukraine, so to speak.
So I want to say the reason why
unfortunately
China's now thrown their hat into the ring and trying to placate Russia is because they're realizing that these idiots might just use the nukes that they have and half of them might work.
Nobody.
Half of them
this
might
is
not be too old and rusty.
We all know that. Like if they hit the button, like how many of them nukes are going to blow up in their own silo? But this is something you got to keep in mind, folks. Like I keep saying this, and I'm going to say this again.
We're still good.
I'm going to say this again and again until I have to tell everybody. No one is launching their nukes. Please grow up. No one is launching their nukes. A nuclear weapon is the single greatest deterrent to invasion ever invented. Libya and Ukraine are 100% proof of this. Ukraine used to have nukes. They gave up their nukes. Now they're the battlefield for World War III. Libya used to have nukes. They gave up their nukes. Gaddafi was killed in one of the most fucking dignityless ways imaginable out in the sands of the Libyan desert. So yeah, if you have a nuclear weapon, it's just a great way to, because what's the only reason we haven't invaded Russia right now? The only reason we haven't is because they have a nuke. That's it.
Because
the rest of the world, like Jacanadar, you and Tiberius, are talking about like, oh God, we've got to replace the Russian regime. We will no longer tolerate a government with Putin in power, which that would be great. I don't see that happening. I think time and cancer is probably going to take care of that for us, so we don't have to really worry about like trying to depose him. Just time and cancer will do that.
Good possibility of that.
But no, like without the nuke, we would already be moving troops.
Stop.
Jesus.
I'm just like I wanted to finish my point there. There you go.
This was not our assertion, so maybe you didn't keep up that night. Maybe I can.
That was Ty's assertion, anyways.
No. His assertion was that was his evaluation of the particular nomenclature as issued by the State Department. That the language that our government was using was indicating that because we had only used that language when we had used similar rhetoric around regimes like Saddam, fucking Noriega, etc. Like we had used these similar State Department terminologies towards these people, and now we're using them towards Russia, something we didn't even do during the Cold War. So
you want Putin removed from power?
I would say that would probably be in Russia's best interest, and I would say that if my option of military intervention was used, it would even be worth the potential loss of American life. But I'm talking about 20
Sometimes
people.
The devil you know is better than the devil you don't.
Potentially. I'm not arguing that that's not true. Unfortunately, the devil we know happens to be a bit of a cunt.
Yeah.
Real quick, is that not the case? Like, they're always a cunt.
Yeah, but a bit more of a cunt than usually we're prepared to deal with. And
isn't it great that we can speak a little more freely on the show?
I'm just going to talk over all you guys. Grumpelstiltskin over on Rumble. It is such a pain in the taint to find you live, nerd. And I think this was directed at you, Phil. He wants you to check your DMs. Also, shout out your link tree. So yes, thanks, Grumpelstiltskin over on Rumble. And the folks on Rumble don't show up on our normal thing. Their normal chat doesn't show up, so I have to like jump over there every now and then and check on it to see if it's still alive. And
you have to get a different chat Restream IO to connect.
Yeah, it's a pain in the ass.
Yeah, I was listening to Beckett describe how he had to connect for Odyssey, and I'm just like, fuck.
Yeah, but Rumble's got good viewership over there. I'm always.
I just sent you the link tree there, good sir.
There you go.
Yeah,
let's move on to. It is. Let's jump over the next story a little bit more lighthearted.
Ravel about this for about 40.
No, I'm fucking done with this one. We got other shit to talk about. This is 20 minutes longer, and I want to talk about Zelensky or Russia.
That happened.
This is a bit of an older one. I noticed you guys didn't. I didn't see you guys bring it up last week, but ChatGPT's Bing has a wild side. Times when Microsoft's AI got a little too crazy with users. So I don't know if you saw some of these. I know there's some memes about it, but Phil and I were chatting about AI just in general. This one will gaslight you.
How deep do we want to get?
Well,
I was about to say, let me unpack this here once we
hold on. I'll tell you the story real quick so we don't have to go through it. Basically, you beat it at chess, and then it'll say, "No, I won." It'll gaslight you. It told some dude that he needs to be a Nazi. Told some other dude he needed to divorce his wife because he loves ChatGPT. Like, this shit can get crazy. Obviously, now, is that sentience? No, probably not. No. It's probably just playing tricks and having some fun from a developer side. If somebody
it's not the developer side. Funnily enough, because of the way these AIs are trained, they're trained by basically mimicking humans. And how do they do that? They have it analyze social media.
Everybody turns to a Nazi eventually.
I don't know if you guys remember this. Like years ago, God. Google actually had an AI that they unleashed, and within 23 hours, it became racist, and it started dropping racial slurs on people.
It was 8 hours.
So
I was in that chat that was participating in the.
Now, Jack,
it became N-word trees. It became.
Oh yes. Now, hang on. I want to unpack something here, guys, because this is a thought that's been banging around my head for a while.
Uh-oh.
And something that Jack kind of touched on. But let me just unpack this because this goes a lot deeper. We've got this Chat GPT or whatever the fuck it is. And what Jack was pointing to, which is correct, is every time we input a request or we put in a request to the AI arts simulation or anything with these AIs, the AI is learning. It's learning our human preferences. It's learning what we like. It's learning our dislikes. It's learning what makes us happy, learning what makes us sad. It's learning how to perfectly persuade the human animal to do whatever it wants. And so that's something that you really need to be worried about because the AI is very much learning and it's going to very soon be able to command us in ways that we don't even know. Like
do you want
our fucking phones already know when we're on the toilet. Now, one thing that I was this is an interesting thing to think about, but we've got the AI that can do this. And I was talking about this with Chicken because I freaked out the other day because there was one of those deep fake apps that I saw. Like we've all seen the deep fake apps where you could put fucking like Denzel Washington's face over yours or whatever the fuck. And or you can put your face over Rambo.
There's a disabled streamer whose house burned down last year. His friend of mine, Gimpy G. We put his face on the Hulk through the entire Avengers movie.
Exactly. Now, here's the problem. So an AI can do this now, but B, here's the biggest thing. Like, it just hit me that our technology and our ability to warp things is to the extent where I even told my kiddo, like, you're going to be the first generation where you cannot believe your own eyes. You can't, because how do you know that's even been a deep fake? And here's the next one, Jack. And here, Lethe and Chicken, and this one's terrifying. Well, hang on. Let me just unload this one. It's all built into this, so let me just get to it here.
One of these days, Kai's going to be able to talk without us talking over him.
Well, no, here's the thing. Like, how far off are we before we get to the point where an overzealous, hungry, and ambitious prosecutor uses an artfully put together deepfake in order to secure a prosecution? And then how much further off are we to the point where we all know somebody that's happened to, just like we all know somebody that copped to a lesser charge just to make it all go away? How much further is this digital world that we're entering in with ChatGPT and deepfakes going to actually pull us? And that is the question that I send out to all you to ponder. Now, Chicken, I'm going to give a rare shutting up for a whole 15 seconds.
Let me get a quick one in, Jack. Yo, what's the first thing you learned when you were learning computing? Like the first term that came out.
I mean, considering I'm old as fuck, it was binary, but yeah, I get where are you going with this?
GIGO was the first thing I learned.
Yeah, garbage in, garbage out.
Bingo. That's what these AIs are.
Well, that's part of it, but it's
a large amount of information. If it misses certain parts of information, it's fucked. It's not going to do what you want it to do, and it's going to pick up what it gets the most of.
Well, that's because of the fact right now we are trying to basically train a robot to mimic human speech, or more accurately, human texting. That is very much done by colloquialisms, analyzing how people actually communicate one to another. The problem is the medium that they're choosing is a little too broad spectrum. It should be a little bit more restrictive, etc. But that's because of the fact that we all know a troll or two. I'm looking at you, Nair Socks, if you're in chat.
Oh, I'm a troll. I'm gonna go real quick. Kanye, AI doesn't care about black people.
Well, no, we all know the trolls out there that go, wait, somebody's trying to do something with a computer. I wonder if I can break it, because they're not actually being malicious. What it is they are system analysts, essentially. And one of the ways a lot of people analyze computing systems, and more accurately computing firmware, which is what AI ends up generally being more than software, is they try to attack it for weaknesses. Because if there's a weakness, you got to identify that shit, because that is how you end up with the proverbial Skynet. Now, Phil, you've read a little bit too much doomer sci-fi, and you're going a little bit too deep in this, because honestly, your generation can't trust its eyes. I've been able to fake shit with fucking film since before you were born, son. Like, I can double expose.
It's not as artful as a deep fake these days. I get what you're saying, but no, it's not that level. Like, I what you're getting at, but now you could only do so much with a VHS film. It's not like
VHS film. I'm talking digital stills, things like that, analog stills. Yeah, when I break this motherfucker out, and I'm shooting on film that's that damn wide, and therefore it is the equivalent of a 190 megapixel camera on detail, something that most people don't have to this day. Yeah, it's actually a lot easier to fake this stuff than you would think on film. You're thinking about video and CGI and things like that. That's drastically different. Those are harder to do because they're motion. Stills are. It's been being done since the 70s, and I mean,
stills are easy. Motion, though, the video deep fake AI is just getting better. It's getting
fundamentally
you won't be able to trust video, but the other
that's what I mean when I can't believe
that's
your
why
eyes.
I said you were
I showed my kiddo I'm sure we've all seen it. It's like, and we're not going to play it here because the stuff's bad, but it's Joe Biden going on this like transphobic rant, and he's like, scratching his forehead sometimes, and it looks fucking real. And I showed this to him, like, you're not going to be able to believe your own eyes here very soon.
Yeah,
because
that was done on Unreal Engine 5. I know the video you're talking about. Some buddies and I actually dug into the code on that one, because you can actually go into the geotagged frames and all that shit. And it's not about it's
the size, it's how he uses it.
When it comes to
the size
film,
of the boat, it's the motion of the ocean.
When it comes to film, yes, I'm sorry, the size of your film actually matters. Not the size of the camera, the size of your film, because that's how much exposure you actually have to absorb detail.
Don't worry, honey, your film is perfect.
Hey, I have 35 millimeter too. The only thing I don't have is the true.
Have you played around with 11 Labs yet?
Not personally.
It's the deep fake voice. So you can.
Oh no, the one I used was fucking ISIS.io. It's you can do some script kidding over on GitHub.
So here, Phil. Now this isn't the best because I just did like a sample size, a really, really small sample size of your voice while we're recording here. But I can type in whatever I want.
Welcome to the Dog and Chicken Show, folks.
So it's not perfect, but if I gave it more audio, it's just gonna get you down even closer.
Type in "Come on, Ali."
Oh,
Come on, Ali.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's not going to detect you singing.
Oh, I know, but I want to hear it.
It can eventually, actually. That's the thing. Well, no, because I do know a bit about AIs, I have actually applied the Turing test to a few of these computer systems myself to see if they can achieve anything near sentience, and they just don't. And by the way, anybody who wants to apply the Turing test, applying the Turing test is actually very easy. You do not have to be a genius or some kind of crazy educated computer scientist. It is literally a series of questions you ask computers to try and mess with them. And even computers that are specifically designed to beat the Turing test still usually fail against it because of the way the questions are designed. It's just a question tree. It's super simple. Anybody can do it. That being said, they're nowhere close. They don't even get to stage 3 of the Turing test, which means these have the functional intelligence of an amoeba. Like, they have intelligence, but it's being supplemented by massive amounts of computing power. But they're very low IQ overall.
Now, Jack, I would counter that Chicken and I have gone to middle school and high school with people that would more than likely fail Turing test, no matter how you tried to administer it. Like, so, like, I don't know. Like,
well, you went to school in Nebraska. That's your own fault.
Like, well, but hey, you said that's the test, Harry. I think we could probably, Chicken and I are thinking off the top of our head, like, there's at least 2-3 motherfuckers that we could probably find. Like, all right, Jack, let's see what we can do. Like, all right, we have faith in you. We have faith in you, buddy. Let's see if you actually have enough sentience to actually be considered sentient.
Kinda, Trey, more abstract than that, but kinda they went in a slightly different direction. That particular storyline was not about the Turing test. It was about a particular project that DARPA was doing where they were trying to create a non-sentient AI where it was completely devoid of true human thought and intelligence and created alien thought and intelligence. That was the paradox that one was talking about, that would create, because then we wouldn't actually be able to communicate with
the ones that started speaking their own weird language.
Yeah, because we wouldn't be able to communicate with their own computers.
Yep. I remember that.
Yeah. It was just an offshoot of it, but it was basically a Easter egg for nerds. And I mean, really, there's so many Easter eggs. Like, I was just watching one of the episodes of Andor with my wife, and there's in the first 5 minutes of one episode, there was 57 Easter eggs that, unless you're a complete Star Wars nutcase, you would never have noticed half of them. Because they're literally somebody speaking on an announcer at a starport terminal in the background, and if you're not paying attention to it, you don't realize that they're talking about one of the starships leaving and going to the particular place in the universe where the fucking Death Star is being constructed with a bunch of metal. They just throw little Easter eggs in the background like that. Nice. Why is there a bunch of construction material going to this one place? And if you know, you know. If you don't, it's just a weird background noise. And it's the same kind of thing but Portal 2 creators are a bunch of computer nerds, so you're getting computer Easter eggs.
Nice.
So to me, now here's the bigger question, guys. If we do get to the point where an AI actually does become self-aware, have we created a new form of life form?
Yes.
I tend to agree as well.
And then God's not real, right?
No. Arguably,
no more than parents creating a child.
Yeah, I mean, arguably that really wouldn't.
It'd be an immaculate conception. There's no
Well, you're not going to get a whole lot of disagreement.
Okay, you don't know whether that scientist rubbed his wiener on that circuit board or not.
Well,
you can't say that for sure.
If it makes you feel better, we're about to get back into Dilbert and go. It'd be round two for you fellas.
Oh no, because I think we're going to get a lot of agreement here that the guy said something stupid, but you still love the art because most of us here appreciate death of the artist.
I have already been through the baptism on this. I'm ready for it.
Oh God, yeah.
Scott Adams says he was using hyperbole, America being programmed to see race first. So this is LA Times giving Scott Adams explanation. Dilbert cartoonist Scott Adams says there is a familiar familiar storyline between the wave of consequences that hit him on the weekend after he made remarks that people and companies, including LA Times, deemed racist. Adams was axed by newspapers and syndication and his book publisher. The cartoonist said Monday on his podcast that he was using hyperbole, meaning an exaggeration, to make it. Does LA Times have to throw in that, like, we don't know what hyperbole means? Never mind. Sorry. I hate how they write these articles.
They're literally quoting how he said it because he.
Okay, I wasn't sure if he said it that way.
Yeah,
he said the stories that reported his comments pulled a trick. The trick, and this is in quotes from Scott Adams. The trick is just to use my quote to ignore the context, which I helpfully added afterwards, he said. But he said that nobody would disagree with him as two main points, which were, in quotes, treat all individuals as individuals, no discrimination, and, in quotes, avoid anything that statistically looks like a bad idea for you personally. He also disavowed racists.
Yeah, like I said, he said something stupid, and this is actually when Lethe was proposing the topic, one of the things I said to him. This is so close to the line that he could just be a boomer having a boomer moment and saying something in a very bad way and not realizing that, he's recording, he can edit this shit. And be like, hey, I'm going to take a take two. That came off a little wrong. And, I never actually accused him of being a racist. What he said came off as racist and shit. But I've read Dilbert for years. I literally own the Dilbert fucking cartoon show. There's almost everything in the rhetoric of what he writes is very much pro-liberal ideology of inclusivity, etc. So what I said, this is going to be great for content because it's so close to the line, it could go either way. And it might be this guy is a closeted racist and his mask is slipping off, or he had a boomer moment and said something stupid.
Well, now, if I may, for just a moment, I'm going to kind of reiterate my opening statement from the Lethe Water Kai panel over on Twitch. One thing that I always remembered, it's the best advice my grandfather ever gave me, and it was given to him by his father. So this is for my great-grandfather. And he said, it can take a lifetime to build a good reputation, and you can blow it all in a minute like that. And we've had some good examples of that. We've had Scott Adams. No matter how he tries to walk it back now, it doesn't really matter. He can spend the rest of his life trying to explain himself. Doesn't matter. He blew his reputation.
Yeah,
great example also is...
The only way he could have saved it is if he had dropped that video on the same day within minutes of the first one.
It wouldn't have mattered. No, it really wouldn't have mattered. It does not matter at that point. Another great example is Sam Harris or Kanye West. These were people who had good reputations and blew it all. Now Kanye, he kind of blew it all over time, but he definitely curbed.
He's blown it 5 times.
I know, but
worse
he
every
decided
time.
he could finally do it.
I already called back to the first time he blew it.
Yeah, people kept giving him benefit of the doubt because he's a genius musician. He's just stressed out. He's just
fucking lyrical genius, wordsmith, voice of a generation. Yeah.
You know what, motherfucker? I know a lot of people with mental illness in my life. You know what doesn't happen when they go off their meds? They don't suddenly become anti-Semitic. They don't suddenly start saying shit like that if they're off their meds. It's not like on their meds they I know I can't say this shit and they fucking hide it. I'm
sure you guys saw the Cupid Yay South Park episode when South Park even has Cartman go, whoa, Cupid Kanye, you're going too far. That's when you know even Ye's gone too far. Like,
I mean, these are the people who shied away from showing the face of Muhammad in their animation because of the potential blowback from it. Yet they go, hold on a minute, you're fucking up. And you're fucking up, even though you're richer than us and you have more followers than us. Fuck you, you're fucking up.
I don't know if he's richer than them anymore.
Well,
he lost a lot of money.
Not anymore, but he was there for a while.
That was a $1 billion interview with Alex Jones. Like, man,
Alex Jones made bank on that one until well, now he's got to pay it all. But
he must have been thinking, I might actually be able to pay off them families.
Yeah, I can pay a couple of families.
Come on, Kanye, drop a few more.
That was the wildest shit. I watched that entire fucking broadcast, and I
laughed, and then I went, "What?" And then I would laugh, and I'd be like, "What?" Like,
well, no,
it was all over the fucking place
because of. Obviously I'm more leftist than most of the people here. For me, it was all kind of like what, but what was really blowing my mind, this is the part that gave me such cognitive dissonance. Alex Jones was the sanest person on the stage.
Yeah, that was the funny part. That's
Do
where I was
not
laughing.
make me the voice of reason here. Oh my God.
It was just like, I was like, how is
Kanye's
even
praising
Nick
Hitler,
Fuentes,
even fucking he turns and looks and goes, "Are you serious right now?" Like,
yeah, it's like, and Nick Fuentes, who, we all know is a piece of shit.
Oh, his dick was so hard it was lifting up the table. Bitch. Okay, he's like, "This is gonna make my career."
No,
the day before when they were on Tim Pool and he walked out and him and fucking what's his name? Goddamn, had to go fucking chase after Kanye, and Nick Fuentes like, "Oh no, I better go chase after him too, or I'm gonna look like the one that's not a good friend." Like, Jesus fucking Christ, these guys
what
are
I'm getting
pussies.
at is like, even Nick Fuentes, who has been on far more controversial spaces than Kanye, etc. Even he could not fucking hold back because Kanye was just going so off the fucking walls. He tried being the good boy in the corner. He tried, like, you could see him. He was sitting there grinding his hands together at certain points, and you could tell he wanted to say something, but Kanye just was ranting and ranting and ranting. It was like, dude, you were making everybody on here look more sane than you in your gimp mask with your fishnet and your fucking yoo-hoo, regardless of whatever else came out of his mouth. And then the shit came out of his mouth.
Now, I had a buddy of mine who was way into conspiracy theories, and now this is pure conspiracy, but it's funny as shit. And they were saying, like, my God, could you imagine, like, if the powers that be really want to take you out, they'll just have some guy in a black mask and they'll say, "Oh, it's totally this guy," and listen to him like talk about Hitler for a while. I'm like, holy shit, yeah, they could take you out. Nobody's gonna say shit about it either. Oh God, Conway West. Wow. So yeah, Kanye, he's not in anymore.
I saw that Alex Jones's cat's worth like $2,000 or some shit, so they were threatening to take his fucking cat.
God damn.
I don't know if that's real, but I just thought it was funny.
Yeah, and so like the Scott Adams thing, like chicken, like I was saying on the panel last night on Lethe Water Kai on Twitch. I've been listening and reading Scott Adams, like his Dilbert cartoons, and our public library in the town we grew up in had a bunch of Scott Adams books in it. And so I read a lot of his stuff growing up. And so kind of like when The Undertaker lost to Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, that was the end of a story that I had been watching literally my whole life. I'd been watching Undertaker matches when I learned to read, when I was going to high school, when I was going to college, when I got married, when I was raising kids, like the whole 9 yards. I was watching Undertaker matches. And then at that point I knew it's over. And this is kind of the same thing with this Dilbert strip. Like since I was like 7, I was reading these Dilbert strips. I've been reading them. I've been listening to Scott Adams. And now this is literally the end of a story that I have been watching and listening and participating in my entire life. I've even been in an arena with The Undertaker. I've even chatted with Scott Adams. So in a very weird way, you kind of feel like a small part of that story. And now it's over. And so it's a very interesting thing to see.
I was actually listening to that live stream. So on in the mornings, on my drive. Usually I have a 2-3 hour drive in the morning, and there's not a lot of live streams going on that early in the morning when I'm heading to work. And I remember, and I don't know, probably 2-3 times a week, I'll jump in, listen what Scott Adams has if it's interesting. I remember that one. It was titled, I believe it was titled The Third Act. And what he's been doing is he's been trolling a lot of people about COVID, because he was saying, okay, in the weeks prior leading up to this, he was doing okay, all you anti-vaxxers, you won. And he was like, and then he was making them come and fight him and get mad that he was admitting defeat, and then like picking a fight with him. It was really fun to watch, because like he was triggering people by telling them that they were right by changing his words around. So it was kind of fun to watch. So I was like, wow, I wonder if he's going to do that today. And like, I literally got on there about 10 minutes before he said what he said. And so I didn't get like context before the context. Like, I was like, what the fuck is going on today? And at the end of it, he goes, I bet you guys didn't think you were going to hear that today, did you? I was like, and I was literally audibly in my car went, no. I was like, no, I didn't. The fuck just happened? I was like,
Chicken, I was listening live in the shower when it went down, and I was conditioning my hair, because I always say men, they shampoo their hair far too much and condition it far too little. And I was conditioning, and I hear him get into he combine, let's take this 20-some% and combine it with that 20-some% in the poll. And I'm like, I don't know about that, Scott. That doesn't sound too method. Like, you can't you can't mind read there. And then he gets to the point where stay the hell away. And I'm like, oh no, Scott, no.
I thought he was going to the 25% rule is what I thought he was about to do, because he does that all the time. And when 25% of somebody answers a poll question, and 25% of the people always answer it wrong. And it was 26% say it's not okay. And I go, oh, he's going to call out the 25% rule. Nope. He fucking went totally different. I was like,
because he does have a rule that is kind of true. Like with any
poll, is very true. I love it.
20% of give or take about 20% of people will give the most insane answer possible. If like you made a poll like, yes, we would like to make cancer airborne and put it in child's food, and 20% of the people will say yes, because that's just how fucking crazy people are. And like, actually, I actually used to date a chick in college who worked for Gallup Polling in Lincoln. And she actually kind of worked me through, like, first of all, she very much agreed with that assessment. But second of all, she also showed me how you can lead a respondent so that you can get the right answer. Because if you don't get the answer that the paymasters of that poll want, they're not going to come back and pay for more polls. And so that was when it kind of like, oh, so these polls are political weapons to either disenfranchise or, like, gin up the base more than they're actually a reflection of real world data, aren't they? Yeah, pretty much. And so that was a very, very eye-opening moment for me. And she was cute as shit too, so I was gonna listen to whatever she was saying.
Yeah, that was the main issue. I feel like this was a person that decided he doesn't really care anymore. He's
wealthy,
up in age individual that has a lot of money, and he really doesn't need to care anymore. So he chose the Rasmussen poll as the hill to die on, and he ran with it like a boss.
Like, now, as somebody that does listen to his show a lot, he has been talking about a way to retire and get out.
He's been talking about getting himself canceled for about 2 years now.
And he found it. He found the way.
This poll is it. Let's go.
Trey Powell, we learned in 2016 polls are worthless.
No, they're not worthless. Here's the thing, Trey. Everybody forgets that.
Oh, the commie and Tommy have something in common here.
Well, no. Here's the thing. Everybody forgets when they look at polling data, they look at it as an absolute. Polling data is that number plus or minus a certain margin for error. And the only thing about 2016 proved is that the majority of the polls that people trusted did not account for a large enough margin for error due to the sociological and cultural shifts we were going through at that time period, and they underestimated that Trump could win.
I feel like we had this conversation a few years ago, Phil. Am I wrong?
Pretty much almost to the word. This is like, I was having some deja vu there. Like, but yeah, like, So like whenever people talk about no, the polls were totally they weren't all that far off, and like, oh yeah, we all remember the reign of President Hillary Clinton. It was an incredible
was
reign.
off like a motherfucker, but that was because they looked at it from a purely political aspect rather than a cultural aspect, and Trump was fighting the culture war on the campaign trail, not the political war.
No, the culture war was fighting him. We didn't have a culture war yet. Like,
generally,
that's arguable because there's always a culture war.
Yeah, but it wasn't what it is today.
We've had one at least since Bork. We've had a culture war since then. That's at least to me the starting of our modern culture war. You can point to other if you want to go there, like we've had culture wars since the Whiskey Rebellion. If you want to go
comment of the night. Jack sounds intelligent, but like math.
Yeah. Grumple
the founding of our modern culture war started at Robert Bork. And like our former Nebraska Senator Ben Sasse was the one who actually put it there. Like Ben Sasse is one of those guys that it's like we had a certain sense of ambivalence about him. Sometimes he would say something that was just right on, and then he would just do something that you would just like want to face palm over.
He's like Josh Hawley. On the surface, sometimes he says something that you'll be like, hey, that's kind of based. And then you read what he's actually trying to do, and you're like, oh, fuck you, you slimy son of a bitch. Like,
you almost got away with it too.
To quote somebody who the person I produce for hates, but I love this particular quote from her. He's a liar, dude. He's a Weasley lying little liar, dude. He's just a fucking liar. Aiko rules. She is hilarious little stoner girl that just talks about nonsense and about fucking people's
I used to follow her. I haven't anything she did. She does content I don't really enjoy as much anymore, but I like her as a person. She's
6 more minutes until we got more gin. So should we
wrap
better, this up?
We better start wrapping this up before we have more shots.
Actually, I'm dropping a new rule. If I drop the all that being said, that is the there's no more.
That's gonna be our cutoff.
Yeah, that's the cutoff when I hit the all that being said. So, but other than that, God Almighty, that's the definition of a politician.
Weasley little liar. Yeah, but that's true of both sides.
Nice. Frank, the only thing Ben Sasse ever said that I liked is the idea of moving. No, we don't want that den of vipers and thieves here in God's own Nebraska.
I'm just wondering, has any other race been identified as just a group?
I like this one from Molesto. So since I'm a sub, guess what? Drink chicken.
Oh, and Alesto is a new sub. He's a new sub now. That's legit. Now, what were you gonna say there, Lethe? I'm so sorry.
Well, what race of people has ever been designated as a hate group? Just straight up.
Okay, now apparently, according to some folks in Europe, apparently the Roma are for some reason. No, I'm kidding.
Hitler says
they don't like them for some reason. I don't get it, but they don't.
This was an accusation by a Baltic state in 2012. This is recent history. This isn't even all the way back in the 40s. This accusation has been made. This was made recently.
Who made what in 2012?
I forget which Baltic state it was that basically accused the Roma of being a hate group because they live off the land. By the way, they made the same accusation of Irish travelers.
Yeah, which to me, I've never understood
I had to rinse that shit down.
It's a pretty funny meme where it shows Europeans. It's like Europeans when they're talking to anyone in the world, and they're like looking so cultured and worldly, and then Europeans when they're talking about the Roma, and then suddenly that's all these pictures from the 1940s, and they're for some reason they don't like. I don't know what the fuck they ever did, but
they don't like the Irish travelers either. It's the itinerant nature. They don't like nomadic cultures because they view it as a cultural throwback. I've had this conversation with a lot of European people. Basically, it is
some Irish in my background.
Think of it more like the equivalent of the Amish here. They're the Luddites, but their thing isn't technology. It's modern house living. They still want to be itinerant workers. They still want to travel. And family groups and stuff. They just want to keep that tradition, and that's fine. But that gets, for whatever reason, that gets a huge cultural pushback because something in European culture. They just despise it. They don't want that reminder that a lot of their cultures used to be itinerant.
Huh, interesting. Because yeah, like I've actually read some theories about why Europeans are more individualistic is because like one of the reasons is that their rivers are more consistent, and so that they can kind of live on their own, while like other rivers throughout the world, like the Nile and a couple of the big ones in India, they kind of come and go, and so there has to be a little bit more cooperative aspects amongst the DNA sets that are going to be successful in those areas. And so it's something that I found kind of fascinating. Now, but yeah, I don't know how we got to the Roma of all things. Like we got all the way back.
Well, because Lethe asked whether or not a particular race had ever actually been designated a hate group.
Okay, yeah, like because I'm trying to think like that's an extreme one. Because
damn it, what was
like it doesn't matter. Like I would say Scott's off on every aspect of that because like guess what? Throughout history, been a race or two that
Phil
had a problem with other races here and there throughout history. That has happened.
Phil, this was a backup story for tonight if we blew through things too fast, but
son of a bitch,
this was one that we're not going to go through the whole thing. I just to quickly
I'm just lamenting that in 30 seconds I'm gonna have to drink more gin probably, or you're gonna have to drink more LTD.
Humans could have wings, tentacles, and an extra arm in the next few decades thanks to leaps in human augmentation. Now this isn't like CRISPR or anything. This is like literal robotics and AI attachments to our bodies to have wings and
tentacles, please.
Yeah, like I know we talked about CRISPR a couple years ago, but yeah, now it's yeah, we don't need CRISPR. Like I can take wings off when I get home. Like that sounds, in a way, that almost sounds kind of more tits than having wings.
I mean, here's the thing. I know a little bit about the biology of adding, mechanisms like wings and stuff like that. I don't know if it's not our skeletal structure I'm worried about. I actually don't know if our nervous system could handle the issue because of the way the nerve clusters are built back there. That being said, some of the other things like tails, we used to have tails. Adding something like a prehensile tail back to a human is actually realistically plausible.
The genetic atavism.
Yeah, essentially. Things like we've even seen people who want opposable thumbs on their feet because of the simple fact that it would make them more useful in the workforce, etc. And I'm just like, that's kind of interesting and all. The idea of doing it through cybernetics seems more plausible because we don't know what the actual genetic manipulation would do. Yeah, we might create that, but we also may create the new form of cancer, that doesn't react to chemo, etc. Yeah. I mean, so I think it's preferable for that one safety aspect. But here's the downside. Now you again get into the class issue. You are going to talk about these are going to be so exorbitantly rich. You are now literally going to have the rich people flying over people's heads, able to spit on the plebs, proverbially speaking.
With any technology, you get a decrease of price and an increase in application. So obviously the rich people are going to be flying over us first, but then before like 15 years later, we're all going to have the equivalent of like an iPhone 10 of attachable wings, and we're all going to be flying all over the place.
I agree. I was finishing my point.
And this is my gin shot for today. Oh, God damn it.
Okay, and finishing my point, the reason I was connecting the two is I think that CRISPR is more to piss off your chat, more proletariat in nature. The more impoverished, not necessarily poor, but middle class would actually be able to afford that technology relatively soon because of how long that technology has already existed. Whereas the cybernetic augmentations would be entirely new, so it would be starting from the starting line, literally.
You would want more prosthetic and machine more than you would rather have biological, because I mean it's just going to be more superior. It's going to be superior and better design than what a biological.
We don't necessarily know that.
But Phil's an honest man.
We don't know that. I mean, it could be, and it's more likely.
If I was going to take a stab in the, take a stab in the dark and say, hey, say Elon Musk, make some wings that can grow, like I can just put on and fly. I bet he would do a better job than if I went to CRISPR scientist and said, "Hey, I want wings that would be able to carry my body and I can fly." I'm willing to bet Tesla would do a better job.
I would probably go the Baron Harkonnen route, where he just has gravity suspensors grafted to his spine,
That's what
and then he
takes.
can just kind of like float everywhere, no matter how fat he becomes.
Right.
And like,
Still
I'll be
wins.
honest, like I'm one of those like fat guys that like always like, no, I will never like take any kind of help. But even I'm like, dude, that would be fucking tits. If I could just float all over the place. Like,
rudimentary X-Men garbage. Like
I'm not
Archangel
arguing.
has hollow bones. He shouldn't be able to fly. So they gave him metal wings to make it even more feasible. It still doesn't make sense to physics that he can fly.
Right.
No, but that's because they didn't actually give an appropriate wingspan, and they made it feathered wings rather than membranous wings. There's a lot to that, and that's been discussed ad nauseum. We don't need to go into a comic nerd rant. We will lose them their audience.
Like now here's a legit question, because this is very on point. This is a question I've been asking since I was in college when I first learned about endogenous retroviruses. Now, what people might not know, an endogenous retrovirus is actually like. Okay, creationists are actually correct when they say you can't get a quiche omelet from the ingredients of a beef stroganoff. How do you actually get one creature from another in evolution? And turns out the actual way, the most likely, it's not the way, but it's one that's very likely, is the endogenous retrovirus. And what that does is it actually makes your offspring a perfect combination of organism and virus, or organism and parasite, instead of what the normal reproductive cycle would be. And now most of the time, this is a mutation that can't reproduce, but once in a while, it results in a new organism. And this is probably the reason we have the ability to see. This is probably the reason we have the ability to hear. It's probably the reason we have fingers, is because of the endogenous retrovirus. And so literally, we could make it to
Welcome
the point
to evolutionary biology, chat.
Well,
this is like
you could
class
inject
001. We'll start 101 next week.
Well, you could inject yourself with an endogenous retrovirus that, well, no, this is the part where it gets to like 505. You could inject yourself with an endogenous retrovirus that could decide your offspring now can see in ultraviolet light. It can now choose its own skin color like a chameleon or a cuttlefish. Like, you could go almost with endless possibilities in one generation, completely change the outcome of your offspring. Now, when I ask people if they themselves would be willing to do it, you would be shocked how many no's I get. Like, it's actually quite surprising. Most men say yes, and I've noticed most women say no. Like, this is just what I've noticed in my own 10 years of asking this question.
It's because
actually 17 now.
It's because of two variables. One, more often than not, men are still thinking about the offspring in the overall aspect of their life.
I don't even know what we're talking about anymore.
Okay, endogenous retroviruses.
No, I mean, like, I have not been paying attention.
Basically, we're talking about the way that we would be able to do things like changing a human in the next generation. One of the things we haven't been able to do is change a living human, which we'd have to have a different style of retrovirus to do that we haven't actually perfected yet. That being said,
I think all that shit's pipe dream shit.
But ultimately, we broke the chicken.
No,
that's all we need to take away from this. We broke the chicken.
You broke chicken.
The stuff we're talking about, the stuff that Phil and I are talking about, this is proven science. This is evolutionary biology. Like, we can actually show you this. If we are
savage
now going into changing it in a living creature, we have not yet been able to do it with vertebrates, but we've been able to do it with invertebrates. So we're getting closer. I mean, that's the thing. We have actually got to a warm-blooded invertebrate. We have broken the warm blood barrier. But we have actually broke the warm-blooded barrier, which is something that they thought would actually take longer. Where they thought they'd get to vertebrates before they got to warm-blooded with these kind of retrovirus applications. And that's all I'm getting at.
Your face is a vertebrate.
Yeah.
It is actually,
but no, like no. So
a razor red crayon.
Jack gets exactly what I'm talking about here. But like, no, it's a question like if with the injection of one retrovirus, you could in one generation completely change the DNA of your offspring to the point where like Yes, they could literally change their skin color like they were a cuttlefish, or they could see in ultraviolet lights, or they could see infrared, or like you could actually choose all kinds of crazy shit.
How good would cuttlefish camouflage be in a school shooting?
No, that's not what the thing is. See, now the visible augmentations are the ones that to finish the thing.
Modern problems require modern solutions.
Yes,
Lethe.
Well, we're here. We have found it.
Lethe, thank you.
Phil, the thing is to finish answering your question, the reason most women answer no is because they are thinking about the physically visible changes.
Oh, here comes the strike.
And therefore, the reason that their kid will be otherized and attacked, and they're trying to prevent harm to their kid in the emotional aspect. Whereas men are generally going, wait, this will make the kid easier. Essentially, yeah, we're thinking of protecting them from the biological aspect. The women are thinking about protecting them from the emotional aspect. This is not a bad thing, and it's not universal, but that is generally why that is happening, is because of the different perspectives of parents. And that being said,
I'd buy that,
so the non-visible ones, like you're talking about, where they could see in a different light spectrum, where nobody would know unless they told them. I bet the women would be okay with
Project.
Those
How you doing, buddy?
like that. You see what I'm
Now,
saying?
like, here's the thing, like and I totally get what you're saying, because here's the thing: the first few are going to be ones that everybody's going to be on board with. You take this endogenous retrovirus, and your offspring will never have diabetes or cancer. Like that one will be like
children will never have flat feet. You won't have scoliosis.
Will always be over 6 foot tall. Will keep a full head of hair their whole life. You can start to
It is eugenics. It is the proper term we are talking about is positive eugenics. The problem is everybody's primary experience with eugenics is negative eugenics, aka ethnic cleansing and shit like that. And it has colored the term.
Your chat
Alesto, I was just starting to like you.
Your chat hates you.
Oh,
they really do.
They enjoy tormenting me with
it's a love-hate relationship.
They love to hate me. Apparently, it's a love-hate relationship. But God Almighty,
you're not being ignored. I'll make sure he drinks.
Censored by the patriarch. Oh my God! All right, Alesto. To you, our newest subscriber, God bless. Alesto. Okay, folks.
Grope.
I'm too many shots of gin in to come up with something like, something witty and amazing. Yes.
Yeah. The next time, just wear the buffalo skull.
For the first time ever on YouTube, TikTok, Twitch, you name it, Phil was just speechless. He didn't know what to say.
Even though I didn't know what to say, I was still talking anyways. God Almighty.
We fucking did it.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing. We'll be able to change a living vertebrate human in probably 25 to 50 years. So potentially some of us here on this panel will be alive when we see the first human augment.
Well, Jack, I want to ask, do we part a human out first, or do we get a genetically different human being first?
What do you mean? Elaborate on
cybernetic parts. Or
I mean, honestly,
prosthetics
that depends on a few leaps and bounds in a few areas of electronics before cybernetics, because we still haven't perfected
fake organ system,
neural networking.
$6 million man.
What was that Ewan McGregor movie where he found out he was a clone on an island just so that some rich person could like harvest his organs?
I
think it's Attica or some shit like that. I could be wrong, but it was a Ewan McGregor movie where he wakes up, gets out of this bed, starts running off, and he finds out that he's a clone of some bajillionaire, and literally he's just there so when the bajillionaire needs a liver or a kidney or a lung or a heart or some shit, they could just harvest it out of a fresh clone.
Yeah, it was The Island.
Okay, The Island.
You got it.
But no, I could see that shit coming down the pike.
What are we talking about now?
Well, no. I mean, the thing is going to the actual question of whether or not we'll get the cybernetics or augments.
Project, that's terrible, bro.
Oh, God,
because of the fact that we have.
Just you can. Let me read this. Project Sad Face. Sorry, I haven't been on lately. My son is in the hospital. He has double pneumonia. They had to put him in a coma to protect. Oh, God Almighty! So I'm so sorry. Like everybody, raise a glass. We're all praying for you. Project Sad Face. God bless. We hope the best for you and yours.
All
Prayers,
boons
buddy.
to your family. All boons to your
We're loyal to those here in the big bucking empire. So I'm sorry, you can't.
That's
continue,
sad.
sir.
No, but the thing is I think we will probably get to augments first because of the endogenous retroviruses that we were discussing, because that is just the next generation. That's something we could do now, literally right now. All it takes is a certain couple of regulations being changed and doctors doing it. Like it's possible right fucking now. What we'll end up with?
So like most of you guys that come from Twitch immediately assume that like I'm like hardcore conservative. I was actually pretty goddamn lefty when me and Phil like went through high school together. Me and Phil were always like yelling at each other about politics all the goddamn time throughout high school.
God, so much.
I'm more of like a I'm like just short of anarcho-capitalist. Like yeah.
Please stop short. Please stay where you are. Don't go further.
I am like super hardcore libertarian on a lot of shit. And
I disagree with you on all this, but at least you still believe in a government that has a potential of existing. Anarcho-capitalists are fucking out of their mind.
Yeah, well, that's why I can't. That's why I can't
out of their mind
totally get on board with that.
Oh, sorry.
I just don't want government. I just fucking like it doesn't work. It always ends the same way. Anyway, but like the one time I could like imagine myself, I think where I was going with this, the one time I can imagine myself going, you know what? I want regulations on something. It would be what we're talking about right now. Like,
well, no, for me, like being the old fuck in the room.
Like if I wanted a government power to like stop something from like, like, hey, I don't think the private sector is going to do good in this. I think this is it. I don't think we're going to use this wisely. As a human species, I don't think we're going to do a good job.
So much more though.
Yeah, that's because you and I are looking into the future and population growth and all this shit.
And so I want, like, my main deal for any vote that I want to give, I want universal health care for all of America. I want us to all be able to go to the doctor whenever we are screwed up for any reason whatsoever. If we can afford to send money to Ukraine, we can afford to do all the wonderful things that we're doing everywhere. At least health care for all Americans.
Lethe touched on a couple of things there, because it doesn't matter what like you want to get done now in American politics for the next 10 years. It's going to be like, if we can send $100 billion to Ukraine, we can do X, Y, or Z. And Lethe, you've touched on it, because like folks in East Palestine, Ohio are saying, wait, what the fuck? You're sending $100 billion there, but you're not going to send any money because we're a Trump voting county, allegedly, winky face. But also, now Lethe, there's something I want to touch on, and this is something that I've said many times. Like, some people call this incrementalism. This is not incrementalism. You're completely missing my point as to what I'm saying here. But
here comes the incrementalism.
No, this is very different.
I'm listening.
It's gonna, but no, like, okay, this is a Republican, a far-right Republican, that's going to tell you how Joe Biden or any Democrat president could get universal health care rolling right now with the Senate as it is right now with Mitt Romney and Joe Manchin and the whole net. This is how you get it. Because the Democrats, they always fuck themselves by wanting everything up front. They want the whole incrementalism intensifies. But no, they want everything up front. But no, what you do is you say Medicare is going, we're not going to do Medicare for all yet. What you do is you're going to say Medicare is now going to cover all of what's one procedure. It's just going to cover one procedure going forward. And that procedure, because it touches everybody, is childbirth. And then at that point, there's nobody that's not going to be on board with that, because everybody either is having a kid, has had a kid, or at the very fucking least, we all know somebody that's in the process of having a kid. So this touches everybody. And by the way, do you even need to ask if the Mitt Romneys and the Dan Crenshaws of the party are coming along? Because this is family values republicanism. And so Medicare starts with this one procedure. And this isn't incrementalism, because what it starts is what I like to call snowballism, because then it starts with, well, okay, what about prenatal care? And then what about postnatal care? And then what about cervical cancer screenings? What about breast cancer screenings?
Like
what about,
we have a term for this.
And then it keeps, and here's the big jump. What about prostate cancer screenings? What about all cancer screenings? And then within 5 years, 70% of all procedures are covered by Medicare, and you're already 70% of the way. You've already fucking won at that point. And so that's how you could actually achieve it if you wanted to with the Congress we have now. But I'm afraid the Democrats are using healthcare the same way Republicans used abortion for 40 years, 50 years, 60 years. It's a great thing to campaign on, but let's not actually do anything.
Okay.
Oh, don't forget, Leafy Water Kai is on Twitch right now streaming this.
Yes.
His greatness is coming through Twitch and coming through so many other channels.
Yeah, so
and getting your voices.
Well, I don't disagree with you that this incremental approach that you're describing, the snowballism that you want, as you want to call it, would work. What I was throwing up my hands and laying back on is because I could literally have said that speech just like you did. I have heard it so many times. And yes,
from
my
me.
Friend, yes, specifically from, that's why I said I could have said it exactly like you did, even with your inflection, because it's a speech to you at this point. You don't even vary the words anymore.
Well, no, because that is how it could be done if you actually wanted
here's
it.
The thing. I
but
agree,
the Democrats have no appetite for it.
I was poking fun at you, but
no, I get that. But I'm impervious to irony, and I have no sense of shame. So it's unfortunate.
The truth is, Phil, literally,
I have half of that.
Described is incrementalism. We have a name for it. You just don't like that name, so you want to call it snowballism.
Nonsense, sir. Like it's
Which
all
is why,
snowballism.
As you got halfway through it, both me and Chicken started laughing when I said, "Oh, it's almost like we have a name for this," and he got what I was trying to say. Because this is literally incrementalism, and that's why
Rumble one more time.
Super Saiyan mode of incrementalism.
And for your more right-leaning chat members, here is the truth of incrementalism. Incrementalism is the preferred modality to change your government, regardless of which direction you wish to change that government, because the other option is revolution. And what a vast majority of people don't want to do is have to shoot their fucking neighbors.
Well, hold on. Don't you assume.
I said have to.
I've been watching a lot of these
neighbors
TikToks where neighbors don't really get along at all.
I'm a communist living in freaking Arkansas. Imagine how many neighbors I have with common modalities. This is what I'm saying. But you don't want revolution.
Justin's like, I gotta work in the morning, guys. What the fuck are we still doing?
Well, no, but Jack is absolutely correct, because look at the long game the Republicans played with the Supreme Court. They played the long game for decades, and it's paid dividends. And so, like you said, if you're not willing to play the long game, you're not going to win in the end. So, even if you don't like it, you don't like what they've done, you have to admire the accomplishments. I mean, the Republicans.
That's an accomplishment, yeah. But what I was putting my hand up and going so at is, yeah, a lot of those Trump-appointed judges have basically told Trump to go fly a fucking kite on several occasions.
Let's go to show that Trump did actually appoint very independent.
I mean, yeah, Barrett fucking surprised the hell out of me when she did it.
Well, here's the deal: Trump didn't select those judges. Those judges were put in front of him by the Mitch McConnells of the world. Here's all the judges we've been trying to get out there for a while.
After Ruth Bader Ginsburg passes, like our cartoon president said,
Democrats are going to really
just shove a Jesus lady through.
Democrats are going to hate this prick. Here you go, Donald. They're going to hate this prick. You should do this one.
Like I said, Dr. Chicken,
you can own the libs.
But here is the difference between
sounds like McConnell
and Trump. Trump was the one that actually got the power that could appoint them. So I don't care who selected him; he's the one who appointed them, and well, that does carry a lot of figurehead political weight, and it has throughout history. That's kind of I'm not arguing that they did.
Last TV says I would say McConnell selected them,
and all I'm saying though is
everything
he's
we
the
got
one who
is
appointed
the
them,
GOP's
and
plan.
Historically, the president who appoints a SCOTUS member who actually asks anything of them publicly generally gets his request. So the fact that they broke away from that while he was still in elected office shows that, yeah, McConnell maybe have chose halfway decently. I still don't like the choices, but they're better than I thought they were going to be, and that's coming from a communist. People, you guys actually didn't do half bad.
So not like Jack,
calm down there. Don't call me a turd.
Like now, I'm gonna you go ahead.
Mitch McConnell is the Republican Emperor Palpatine.
Now, okay, guys, I'm gonna say this. Okay, as a Republican,
I like that.
I'm the only Republican here. Chicken, you know, good third party bastard.
I will never join the GOP.
You know, good
Thank you.
rapscallion.
He's so close to you, though. He's so.
But I will say, okay, Republicans.
So here's real quick, Phil, before you get into that, Kai, me and Phil started a live stream, and we did me, him, and Tony. We all did the political compass test together on a live stream, and Tony's like, he's down from the middle about 3 squares and dead center between left and right. And then you
literally
got
on the fence.
Literally on the fence. And then I'm like 3 squares down under him, and then probably 3 squares to the right of him. So I'm like almost all the way down libertarian and a little bit to the right. And then Phil is on like the same libertarian line as me, but like all the way to the right as far as you go. And Phil was like, son of a bitch, I'm really upset I'm not further right than that. But then
I was one off from being all the way to the right, so I was way more liberal than I thought I'd be.
But then we retook the test.
Phil's always right
in so many ways.
We drank for 2 hours on this stream, got shit-faced drunk, and then we took it again. And I moved 3 squares to the right just by talking to Phil for 2 hours on a live stream.
Excellent.
Well, but here's the thing. Actually, I'll send the link here in chat here in a minute. There's this game that a political streamer named J-Reg created called Bad Optics, and what he does is he gives you a fictional country. You only get 3 answers to every question that's posed to you: agree, disagree, or meh. Meaning you just decide to do nothing. This is really fucking wild. It includes something like 200 different political ideologies that you have to fight through. You may not actually get the starting country you want, so you may end up with a country that has literally one of them. It was eco-monarchy. Eco-monarchy was one of the political ideologies. I don't even know what the fucking eco-monarchy is, by the way, and I'm pretty politically well-minded, and I don't even know what that one was. But it's like eco-monarchy, anarcho-capitalism, and extreme fascism in one country, and all of your decisions will then affect the approval of those 3. And every once in a while, you can do a revolution in your country, and you end up with whatever your compass created,
and a whole bunch of people die.
Yeah, well, you don't really see people dying, but yeah, your country gets bigger and smaller. There's other countries doing the same thing around you.
Why you do this?
That's our
stop. Take it away.
That's our wrap up. That's our wrap up.
Well, I got one more point I got to make before we go. Because Lethe, you're talking about the good old Mitch McConnell. I was going to say, as a Republican, the one Republican in this room, us Republicans have this kind of weird ambivalence when it comes to Mitch McConnell, because we always do this thing where it's like, okay, Mitch, just when we thought you couldn't sell us down the road any further, compromise your conservative principles any more than that, and just fucking sell out the red states altogether, you go and do something like this.
Fucking Kai
and
is still
totally redeem yourself. Oh my God, we got Amy on the court, Mitch. Get over here. So, we've got this weird ambivalence when it comes to Mitch McConnell.
For a little bit of context,
as an asexual person that repulsed me.
Yeah, he's asexual. He's asexual, so that may help you understand why that made him even more uncomfortable than the rest of us.
Oh no, I wouldn't take Tom's girlfriend away. That's tomfoolery's old lady there.
All right.
No, I would not.
Chicken? Oh God.
Yep.
God, no. No. All right, Chicken. Well,
I think it's time, Phil.
Gentlemen,
take it away.
As I'm known to say around here. All that being said, thank you for joining us here at Big Fucking Empire, episode 177, Wet Market. Folks, thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us here at the Big Fucking Empire, and I hope all of you join us here next week. And folks, be sure to check me out, Phil KOE, at KOE Nation on YouTube, TikTok, and Twitch. And I hope all of you make it back here happy, healthy, much the wiser. Raise a glass to yourselves. Lethe Water Kai, Jacanadar, thank you for joining us this week. Lethe, Jacanadar, Chicken, take it away.
Kai, tell the folks where they can find you and say goodnight and all.
I'm always trolling around Twitch. You can find me streaming all sorts of nonsense or a great panel that may include KOE. You have no idea. So tune in every other Wednesday, or soon to be every Wednesday, at Lethe Water Kai at Twitch, or on Twitter, or on any other platform you want to see. You can find me all over the place. And thank you for having me. This is a great experience. I've never felt more welcomed.
Hey, good, man. It's a good time here. We're pretty chill. We love it here. Jack.
Well, I don't stream.
I've almost come to love you as a commie. Almost.
Generally, people on the right do, because I'm the communist that people can talk to and get straight answers from. I don't give you the stump speech, fucking party line crap. I'm gonna give you real answers. Like, yeah, this was a fuck up. Hey, this shit was bad. How do we fix this? Here's answers to how you fix this particular system that caused this particular problem, so on and so forth. But that's neither here nor there. I don't stream yet, but I produce for Lethe Water Kai here, and Tiberius D, another frequent guest on your show. That's generally where you end up catching me there, or on Prime Kai's, or Beckett No Crabs, or any other place I fucking crop up to grab one of you weird people to be on panels for. My job is to herd the freaking streamer cats into one yard and make you guys fight it out on screen.
Beautiful. Sounds like you're doing an awesome job with that.
How dare you?
Appreciate meeting both of you guys tonight. It was pretty fun. I was hoping we'd have a Joe Biden run-in tonight, but you know what? Yeah.
Hey, we just had Greta Thunberg come in and tell us how dare us. So, yeah, I'm sorry, Yank. You are a producer too. You understand?
There's Joe. There's Joe. We still get a run-in from all Joe. No, Joe.
He's lost.
Oh,
Damn it, Joe.
He's trying to find his pee drain.
Appreciate you folks for tuning in. Post show is dropped down into the chat if you wish to join us in I
sent you boys the link.
Nice. Should be in the chat for anybody else who wants to join. It is uncensored. If you're on Twitch and you don't want to get in trouble, I probably wouldn't restream anything that we do on there, because it's kind of a free zone. If you don't want to be a part of that, I get it. Totally fine. Otherwise, thank you folks for tuning in. It's been a long show, been a lot of shit we talked about. We'll see y'all next week. Appreciate you. As always, love you. Bye. Take it away, Justin.
Just smooths itself out. Back, tell you what I'll do if I ever get back. I promise to refabricate you, raging rivers of gold. That's what the brochure advertised. And